Chapter 1166. The people of the MO family were quite angry. That strange dragon was too hateful, and that G-Dade was also a good-for-nothing. Where do you think the MO family was? It was just an arena. What audacity! Some of the young evolvers of the MO family clamored and swore to teach the two of them the cruelest lesson. Even death wasn't a severe punishment. They wanted to make the two regret coming to this world. As long as they dare to appear, kill them all. The old powerhouses of the MO family also issued the order with a gloomy face. The MO family couldn't command the Yang realm, but they were still overseeing a region. There weren't many families that dared to provoke them. After all, they were the human race of the alien wasteland. How many people dared to provoke them? In the end, these two brats actually dared to be so impudent. They said they wanted to fight to the top of the MO family, but there was no need to think about it. Those two little thieves were humiliating them. They probably wouldn't fight to the death, but rather, they wanted to humiliate the MO family. Many evolvers heard the news and couldn't calm down on this night. The Yang realm was vast and boundless, so it was difficult for news to spread to all parts of the untainted land. However, there were still some people paying attention to this matter, so the impact was not small. MO family, you're going too far. Do you think I'm easy to bully? This time, not only will I beat your whole family until they vomit bile, but I'll also kill your successor. Otherwise, I won't be called long to you. The strange dragon spoke ruthlessly. He had been chased miserably a while ago and was dizzy. At first, he didn't know why he had been targeted. He had fled for 8 million kilometers and was almost beaten to death. Now, he had finally recovered. It was really unbearable. He had been wrongly accused and was not allowed to explain himself. There was really no place to reason. What would he do at this point? He could only fight back and beat the MO family into pig heads and kill the main culprit who had issued the arrest warrant. G-Dade also immediately announced through that platform that the MO family should wait for death. He would kill the men and sell the women. The most direct impression this gave people was that G-Dade was a ruthless person of few words. The MO family was furious when they received the news. Some of the elders whose lifespans were short almost had a heart attack. It was clearly the MO lay brothers who had been killed, and 2 of their direct descendants had died. Why was it that strange dragon and G-Dade who had been wronged and looked like they were full of grievances? Without a doubt, the MO clan naturally paid great attention to public opinion. They immediately retaliated, rebuking G-Dade and the strange dragon's words, saying that they were crazy, killing the Killer King's bloodline, and even distorting the truth. They were simply courting death. Who's the one courting death? MO Lay wanted to kill me for no reason at all, and in the end, he was killed by me at the sky-reaching waterfall. He was the one courting death. The bloody truth. At the end of this paragraph was the name of the person who had left the message, G-Dade. This was a comment that was posted on a certain large platform in the Yang realm, and it was specially pinned at the top of the platform. It was dazzling with golden light and emitted a dazzling radiance that was like the birth of a Buddha. All the evolvers who logged into the platform were illuminated by the light after seeing this scene. The people of the MO clan were furious. These words were a provocation. As for Long Dahai, he was so angry that he stomped his feet and shouted, G-Dade, you finally stand out and admit that this is what you did. The people of the MO clan also reacted. The main culprit was G-Dade, and Long Dayu was only an accomplice? Or could it be that this had nothing to do with him? Ming Province, at the banquet held by the Wasteland Arena, everyone had strange expressions on their faces. Many evolvers were lowering their heads to look at the universal computer and watching the news. This was too ridiculous. A confrontation during a banquet had escalated the conflict to a new height, and even the people of the MO clan were involved. Moreover, the parties involved had already started to engage in a war of words on the online platform of the Tonga newspaper, which had the largest circulation in the Yang realm. Hence, although many people were at the banquet, they were also secretly going online to watch the battle between the two parties. For a time, many people felt that it was strange. They could clearly see that young man not far away, but they still wanted to go online to watch him argue with someone from a distance. G-Dade, you deserve death. You killed my sons, Mo Lei and Mo Feng. You are originally a human, yet you dare to go against the bloodline of the human king? You deserve death. The people of the Mo clan were about to go crazy. Only now did they know who the main culprit was. Mo clan, don't be in such a hurry to go crazy. Quickly cancel my arrest warrant and withdraw the bounty. I've been a scapegoat for dozens of days. I've been wronged to the point of being bright and black. Long Dayu's saliva splattered everywhere. He immediately shouted, wanted to get rid of the blame on himself. Chu Feng shouted very intimately, Brother Dayu, it's all my doing. It has nothing to do with you. You didn't help me at that time, so you're definitely not an accomplice. That's right, that's how it is. You're a good brother. Long Dayu felt very gratified and called him brother to build up their relationship. G-Dade, we've officially listed you as the main culprit. The bounty will be increased tenfold, roared the Mo clan. Long Dayu let out a long sigh after hearing this. Being listed as a wanted criminal by the foreign desolate race was like having a dagger on his back. It was a bit of a headache, so it was best to completely solve the problem of being a scapegoat. However, the next moment, he stomped his feet in anger. This was because the Mo clan had changed his position from the main culprit to an accomplice. They were still going all out to hunt him down. F***CKU. Mo clan, have you gone crazy? Have you gone mad? Didn't you see G-Dade refuting the rumors? Why are you still targeting me? He was indeed unbearably angry. He wanted nothing more than to personally kill the person in charge of the Mo clan who gave the order. The people of the Mo clan replied coldly, You've already called G-Dade brother and were so intimate with him. We originally suspected you, so now who would believe that you're not an accomplice? F***CK. Long Dayu was so angry that white smoke was coming out of his nose. He flew into a rage. How could this work? How could this be counted as his fault? At the same time, he quickly realized that when G-Dade helped him explain, he was so intimate with him. This was intentional, right? Chu Feng immediately stood up and shouted on the Tonga newspaper online platform, Don't believe in rumors. Don't spread rumors. Don't create rumors. You must be a qualified citizen of the living world. Then, he explained on Long Dayu's behalf. This time, he was even more enthusiastic and considerate. He took all the blame on himself and said that it had nothing to do with Long Dayu. This was the Mo clan's response. Then, it doubled Long Dayu's bounty. Long Dayu was dumbfounded. His 7 apertures were spewing fire. When Chu Feng explained again, Long Dayu was about to cry. He said angrily, G-Dade, I won't allow you to explain for me. He wanted to say, You did it on purpose, didn't you? How long are you going to make me a scapegoat? Chu Feng spoke again. Mo clan, let me tell you, this matter was done by me and Long Dayu together. What can you do? What can you do to me? The Mo clan naturally flew into a rage out of humiliation. Long Dayu, on the other hand, was about to collapse. F***CK, this was too much. G-Dade, what do you want? You're framing me again. He privately sent a message to Chu Feng, simply wanting to fight to the death with him. Chu Feng explained, Brother Dayu, I'm doing this for your own good. The more I explain and help you clear your name, the more they won't believe me. I'm doing the opposite. This way, they might dispel their suspicions and not think that you did it. F***CK, what's the point of saying that now? I've already fallen into your pants. No matter what you say, I'll be bloody unlucky. There's no way to explain it. F***CKU. After Long Dayu cursed Chu Feng, he decisively ended the conversation and went to find his old brothers. Through special channels, he secretly informed them that he had been wronged and that the Mo clan wanted to kill him. At this moment, he was Long Dayu. At the same time, he also told these people that if they found Chu Feng, they must capture him alive. He wanted to teach this bastard a good lesson and let him understand why the flowers were so red. At the scene of the banquet, Su Kuan wore a warm smile. He was in a good mood. Originally, he was still feeling vexed. Now that he saw G-Dade among Old Goo's group, challenging the Mo clan, he was especially happy. He was waiting to see a good show and a good show. The six-eared macaque, Chi Hong, was also in a good mood and hoped for a great battle to break out. It's about time. Old Gu, we should go. Chu Feng secretly transmitted his voice. What was the point of watching the gladiator battle? After calculating the time, it was time to leave immediately. Otherwise, the foreign desolate race's Mo clan might have already killed their way here. Moreover, the news had already been leaked and there might be others who would take action. Now, many people knew that Dade was participating in the banquet at the Ming province's Kaiwang arena. Old Gu nodded. It was indeed time to leave. The main reason was that he wasn't at ease with that organization. 80 divine monarchs had come all of a sudden. Were they here to protect him? Did they place too much importance on him, or did they have other intentions? The next moment, a blinding light erupted. It was so fast that no one could react. Chu Feng, Old Gu, and Dong Dahu had disappeared. This was a super teleportation domain that allowed them to escape immediately. Chu Feng's attainments in the field of domains could be considered extraordinary at present. His skills were becoming more and more profound. This was a teleportation domain he had prepared beforehand. The teleportation distance wasn't far and wasn't as long as crossing a province. It was only for the sake of leaving the original location and changing the environment. 50,000 kilometers flashed by as they arrived at another region and appeared in a mountain ridge. This time, Chu Feng didn't use a divine magnet, but a genuine magnetic marrow. Hence, the effect was extremely good. There was no time gap in burning the magnetic marrow. They had disappeared successfully before anyone could react. If it were a divine magnet, it wouldn't be so effective. Perhaps a large hand would reach out from behind and chase after them. This was the method Chu Feng had come up with last time after he had been chased by the Western Paradise Organization and the Mo family. He had to be willing to use rare and precious materials to carry the transmission domain with him. Even if it was the magnetic marrow, which was extremely rare in the Yang realm, he still had to use it without any hesitation. Hence, they disappeared without a trace after the magnetic marrow rune flashed and couldn't be found. Let's go. The next moment, Chu Feng used the domain once again and fled with Old Gu and Dong Da. This time, they directly left Ming province and escaped without a trace. Everyone at the banquet was dumbfounded. Those three were too slippery. How could they disappear just like that? Su Huang's smile froze on his face. He had wanted to see Dade make a fool of himself and wait for them to be captured and killed by the Mo clan. That was because he had already arranged everything. He had just informed the Mo clan of their specific coordinates and was waiting for them to appear. In the end, Dade had run away. Makakon also felt a wave of regret. He had just tried to make them stay, but it was too late. The hairy golden hand he had transformed into reached into the void, but couldn't find anything. Even though he had the bloodline of an ancestor born from the primal chaos and was one of the most powerful divine kings in the world, he still failed to intercept them. Only Chun Yu, Lu Yun, and the others were relaxed and relieved. Just now, a day felt like a year, and they felt stifled. They almost couldn't bear it anymore. Now that the three youths had run away, they didn't have to worry anymore. It was just that what would they do if they ran into them in the future? 80 divine kings were escorting them. This kind of situation was extremely frightening. They ran away just like that? The Taotai divine king said. He looked around and said, "It seems the young master doesn't really trust us." Oh, very clever. He only believes that fate should be in his own hands. The immemorial barbaric ox race's divine king spoke. He swayed his coarse horns and tugged at his formal attire. He then loosened his belt buckle to make himself a bit more comfortable. He puffed out a cloud of smoke and blew out a ring of smoke. He's very similar to my youngest son. They're both precocious people. Beside him, the divine kings of this organization revealed strange expressions. They felt that Brother Ox was praising his own child. However, they couldn't help but sigh when they thought of the Ox clan's little Lang Jun. He was truly a monster. Not only was his talent extraordinary, but he also knew a lot of unorthodox ways. Look, Old Ox's attire was made by his son. Even that cigar as thick as a carrot was chosen by the Ox clan's little Lang Jun for his father. He said that it suited his father's temperament. At the divine king level, it was very difficult to have children. Since Angel Ox had such a son, he naturally treasured him greatly. When he had nothing to do, he would show off and praise his child. Boom! The MO clan's people had finally arrived. The celestial venerable personally made a move, but they were too late. At the same time, Chu Feng challenged again. Today I'll wave my hand and not take away a single cloud, but my revenge is about to begin. MO clan, are you ready? Tomorrow, I'll trample the MO clan. Chapter 1167. Ming Province. Inside the Fire Phoenix building, the banquet this time was full of ups and downs. The three youths left after making a scene. Someone from the MO family came again. Moreover, he was a celestial venerable. His might suppressed the great wasteland. In this giant city of technological civilization, he was still unmatched. Everyone was trembling. At this moment, the entire building was originally able to defend against attacks at the Divine King level. It was engraved with special order runes, but now it was trembling. Some of the famous guests from the MO family were furious. In the end, they were a step too late. The killing intent and sullenness in their hearts had nowhere to pour out. At this time, that celestial venerable was wrapped in chaotic energy. He was motionless, and no one knew what he was thinking. However, at this moment, the entire building was dimming. The material harder than metal essence was cracking. Moreover, everyone fell limply to the ground, shivering. Then, with a boom, he suddenly disappeared from his original location. A terrifying hole appeared in the building. The fracture was terrifying, and traces of the great Tao remained. It was left behind by that celestial venerable after he rushed out. Clearly, he hadn't given up yet. After a series of deductions, he directly chased after him. He wanted to hunt down G-Dade and find his traces. He wanted to crush his physical body with one hand and refine his soul light so that he would live a life worse than death for 100 years. With a whoosh, in a mountain range 100,000 miles away, the figure of this celestial venerable appeared amidst the cries of apes and roars of tigers. Behind him, the void exploded. He rushed all the way here, and the vast sky along the way seemed to have been plowed. A ravine appeared, and the sky split open. It was incomparably terrifying. This was the trajectory left behind by his physical body. His strength could be imagined. As he plowed through the firmament, space was injured. One had to know that this was the Yang realm. The laws of heaven and earth were complete. Generally speaking, no one could casually destroy the void, and it was difficult to destroy the majestic great wasteland. However, this celestial venerable from the MO family had the humanoid monarch bloodline. He ignored all of this and was just that terrifying. However, he stood in place for a long time, looking at the magnetic marrow remnant left behind by Chu Feng. He couldn't deduce his next move. The primal chaos surged, rising and falling along with his chest. Boom! The sky and outer space exploded. He leapt into the sky dome, not hiding anything, releasing his body's energy. He sat there, a rain of blood pouring down around him, shooting stars flying past. The corpses of gods and devils appeared, many creatures continuously kowtowing towards him. This was an irregular phenomenon. It was all because he was using up the power of an Empyrean to burn Tao ancestor matter. He did not give up and still wanted to deduce G-Dade. However, the result was already decided. In the Fire Phoenix building in the Ming province, the elders of the MO clan were all livid with rage. Little bastard, someone said coldly, his malicious words spreading throughout the city. Whoever can find G-Dade or provide any clues, my MO family will give him a drop of supreme mortal monarch ancestral blood. The moment the bounty was announced, everyone went crazy. The humanoid monarch ancestral blood that this legendary elder of the MO clan spoke of was the blood essence left behind by the clan's first ancestor. It was endlessly terrifying and extremely rare. This was the most precious great medicine in the world because the level it had evolved to was too shocking. It was a true perfect mortal monarch, and a drop of blood was enough to baptize people, transforming their bloodline and allowing them to be reborn. G-Dade, little bastard, you have provoked us again and again, targeting the humanoid monarch bloodline. You are destined to die without an intact corpse. Your soul light will be burned in the flames of karma for 10,000 years before it can be erased. Just wait for death. The old powerhouse of the MO clan roared. His gray hair fluttered in the building, and his eyes were like cold lightning, expressing his determination. At his level, he normally wouldn't disregard his status and speak ruthlessly like this. He only needed to do it, but he really couldn't bear it today. G-Dade had successfully infuriated them. After so many years, who dared to provoke the humanoid monarch bloodline? Never. They were born powerful and could suppress ordinary humans. That was the restraint of their bloodline. Their innate superiority had always transcended above, and they had long developed a self-centered personality. For them, as long as it was a human like G-Dade, they would have to bow down and submit when they saw the MO clan. And the result? G-Dade killed a descendant of a mortal monarch and taunted and humiliated the humanoid monarch bloodline again and again. Who are you scolding? Chu Feng responded immediately. He had already brought Old Gu and Dong Dahu to a sufficiently safe area. He was using the universe's brain and didn't show any weakness as he berated the MO clan. G-Dade, you are already a dead man. At this moment, outside the bright prefecture, that deity was sitting cross-legged. The primal chaos exploded, and he temporarily revealed his true appearance. This was a thin and withered old man, but his eyes were like a divine lamp that pierced through the dark night sky and the boundless sky, overlooking the great wasteland. Very soon, the primal chaos surged and covered his true body. He was very cold and emotionless, but these words also displayed his determination to kill G-Dade. At the same time, within the Fire Phoenix building in Bright Prefecture, the people of the MO clan who had rushed over were also angry and laughing coldly. G-Dade, your death is near. You have successfully infuriated us. The humanoid monarch bloodline can deduce everything. We will find you within 3 days and hack you to pieces. Little evil creature, this is the first time someone has dared to provoke my MO clan like this. As a human, you have offended your superiors and violated your bloodline oath. You will die miserably within these few days. Everyone could feel the MO clan's killing intent. Otherwise, why would they say so much? They were unable to restrain their anger and were somewhat crazy. Their killing intent surged to the limit. It was precisely because they couldn't immediately find Chu Feng that they couldn't vent their anger, that their killing moves would become even fiercer. You old things, why are you barking like dogs? This grandpa is living very well and will live forever. You want to destroy me within a few days? Let me tell you, this grandpa will destroy you first from tomorrow onwards. This grandpa is right here. Come on, otherwise you will suffer disastrous losses. I will make you go mad with regret. Chu Feng challenged. If he was angry at this moment, he definitely wouldn't endure it and speak such arrogant words. In any case, they had already shed all pretense of cordiality and wouldn't rest until one side was dead. Who do you think you are? You are just an ant, yet you want to shake my MO clan? I want to see who you can find. Who will dare to step up to the MO clan's door for you? A well-known elder of the MO clan said with a gloomy expression. He was certain that no one would dare to show themselves and laugh coldly. Not only this, but the MO clan also wanted to dig out G-Dade's roots and target him. They wanted to make him suffer unbearable pain and give him the most ruthless blow. MO clan, you are really used to being domineering. Do you think you are the master of the entire Yang realm? See you tomorrow. This grandpa will accompany you in your madness. Chu Feng also became ruthless. His temper flared up and he wanted to fight to the death. He didn't believe in the supernatural. If he was willing to pay the price, he didn't believe that the MO clan wouldn't feel pain. So what if they were a human king clan? If there were enough benefits, they would definitely be able to motivate experts to attack. Everyone shivered inwardly. This was a confrontation. The two sides couldn't be reconciled and wouldn't rest until one side was dead. They were going to fight to the end. At this moment, everyone was looking forward to tomorrow's arrival. They all felt that there would definitely be a good show to watch. Of course, Many people didn't look favorably upon G-Dade. So what if he had a powerful background? It was difficult to compare with a human king clan. They didn't believe that his elders would allow him to act so recklessly and fight to the death with a human king clan for him. Some people were worried that in the end, Chu Feng would be suppressed by the experts of the clan and wouldn't show his face anymore. In the end, it would be all talk and no action. At the same time, someone from the MO clan spoke. Humph, do you really think that G-Dade comes from a certain clan and has an illustrious identity? That's just a joke. He's just lucky. What kind of lineal descendant of a clan that has existed for hundreds of millions of years? Those three people just happened to obtain a Black Emperor's token. That's why they could invite so many divine kings to come out. Otherwise, what right do they have? They're just weeds on the side of the road. If they really have a power behind them, would we let these divine kings leave without making a move? The people from the MO clan were very domineering. After that elder spoke, he looked coldly at godly King Tao Tai, Angel Ox, and nearly 80 other super-evolved beings. This was because he recognized a few of them and knew their origins. Before these people could retreat, the people from the MO clan arrived. However, Old Gu was also very understanding. He secretly ordered them to leave now and not fight to the death with the MO clan. Our MO clan's heavenly venerables are here. If these people were related to G-Dade, we would have already crippled them all. A legendary elder from the MO clan said coldly. He became more and more domineering, showing the terror of a human king clan. No matter how many experts there were, as long as a heavenly venerable came, they would all be killed. Everyone was stunned when they heard this. G-Dade and Old Gu were just borrowing power, but more than 80 divine kings were all invited because of token. Soon, some people came to a realization because they also knew about the Black Emperor's token and had heard of that organization. That's right, that powerful organization has such a strange rule. No matter who it is, as long as they have the token left behind by their ancestors, they can ask them to take action. Immediately, the banquet was in an uproar. There was actually such a secret. As expected, after the news spread, there was another violent storm. G-Dade was outwardly strong, but inwardly weak. There was no great power behind him at all. Yes, this time, they used up the Black Emperor's token, so they can't use it next time. That organization should have the right to take it back. Someone from the MO clan said, this was a veteran divine king, a very famous and powerful elder of the MO clan. He revealed the secret to cut off G-Dade's halo, to tell the outside world that the provocators were nothing to worry about. Everyone looked at the Tao Tai divine king and Angel Ox and found that the two were silent. This could be considered as admitting that this was the truth. So that's how it is. I was really shocked before. I was just saying, why did these three mysterious youths suddenly appear? Some people came to a realization, and then they gritted their teeth. Because they had been suppressed by G-Dade before, they were scared silly. Some people were disdainful, and then they sneered, knowing that G-Dade was going to be in big trouble. There were also people who were calm and collected, watching the show. Su Kuan was no longer elegant. He forcefully unbuttoned a few buttons on his snow-white shirt and let out a long breath. He had actually been frightened by these three youths without any great background. Tonight, he had been suppressing his anger, and now he revealed a cold, murderous intent. Makakon's expression was also cold. There were actually people who dared to oppose the six-eared macaque bloodline, but it turned out that they were just bluffing. Among the evolvers present, only Chun Yu, Lu Yun, and a few others were in a good mood. The pressure in their hearts was immediately gone. It turned out that the three princes were all water spinach, all for show. There was no frightening background at all. Not long ago, they were truly terrified. In an instant, the wind direction had completely changed. The people from the MO clan sneered. Do you really think any random cat or dog can shake the MO clan? What a joke. Provoking us with words will only lead to miserable lives. Let's see who dares to show up tomorrow. Who dares to come to our MO clan? Our MO clan will be waiting for your arrival. This kind of words really showed their domineering attitude. They were waiting for G-Dade to come knocking on their door. There was disdain in their indifference, thinking that he would not be able to invite any powerhouses to come knocking. Have you all said what you need to say? Have you all finished showing off the MO clan's might? G-Dade said, targeting them to the end. He did not have the slightest bit of stage fright or fear. Tonight, all of you endure. At daybreak, I will lead an army of 100,000 to trample the MO clan. If I don't destroy you, who will I destroy? Chu Feng looked like he had gone mad. He wanted to wait until daybreak to lead an army of 100,000 to attack the MO clan. I swear that if I don't kill a celestial venerable and make your blood flow like a river, I am not G-Dade. This matter is not over, roared Chu Feng. Chapter 1168. Both sides were ruthless, and this naturally caused a huge uproar. Whether there would be a bloody change in the world of the living tomorrow, or whether G-Dade would become a laughingstock, it would all be clear. However, there were still many people present at the banquet who were unhappy. They felt that they had been played by Old Goo and G-Dade. They were actually fakes. These three little brats were actually pretending to be powerful. I think G-Dade will definitely piss his pants. After fleeing in fear today, he won't dare to appear again. There won't be a great battle tomorrow. Some people sneered. They were extremely dissatisfied with Old Goo and Chu Feng, and they were ridiculing them here with resentment. I think so too. Who in the world of the living would dare to rashly declare war on the foreign desolate human royalty? How many families can calmly endure such a world-shaking confrontation? People were discussing. The news naturally spread to the outside world, and everyone knew about it. It caused a heated discussion. There were also people who spoke in a low voice. What if G-Dade asked that organization to take action again? Perhaps they really would dare to attack. The people of the MO clan sneered. Moreover, there was a famous elder who directly stood out and deliberately brought up the Black Emperor token. This kind of black token is indeed a bit strange. It can mobilize that ancient organization, but did you know? It's difficult to find 1 or 2 Black Emperor tokens in the world. His luck is good enough to encounter one, but there won't be a second one. The MO clan's famous elder's words were certain. He was rather relaxed and didn't care. Summer province, in a hilly area. Old Goo was silent. He used his hand to stroke the pile of tokens in front of him. They were warm to the touch. There were no less than 400 to 500 pieces. How do I use so many? He murmured softly. He used his divine sense to sweep over and directly obtained an accurate number, a total of 506 pieces. This number left him speechless. How greedy had he been back then? He had actually prepared so much. Old Goo said, "That grandson said I only have 1 piece? Later, I'll throw 100 pieces to smash him to death and scare him to death." Dong Daha's face was full of smiles like a blossoming flower bud. He said, "Old Goo, later I'll help you throw 100 pieces and slap them to death." Chu Feng was also speechless. If such a large pile of tokens were to be exposed, it would definitely stun everyone and scare them half to death. Even that organization would be dumbfounded. With so many tokens appearing, they could mobilize them more than 500 times. This was equivalent to controlling this dark power and becoming its master. These tokens were divided into 4 types. One was purple and lustrous, one was white, one was flowing with a scarlet glow, and one was black. Black was the weakest of the 3, but it was already able to summon the God Kings. Thinking about it, there were still 3 more. This was really a little scary. Chu Feng said, "Old Goo, there's nothing more to say. With so many tokens, you have to spend at least 8 to 10 of them tomorrow. It would be best if you could invite an ultimate evolver. It would be best if you could wash the MO family in blood." Old Goo rejected him righteously and said, "What are you thinking? They're all my blood, sweat, and tears. They're elites raised by my old brothers. Some of my old brothers are even still alive. You want them to fight against the human king families of the alien desolate tribe? It's too tragic. How can I bear to see it?" "Forget it." Chu Feng rolled his eyes. How could he not know that Old Goo actually didn't dare to use those high-level tokens for fear of betrayal? He was waiting for Chu Feng's resurrection to appear. Sigh. Old Goo sighed and muttered to himself. The rims of his eyes were actually somewhat red as he said, If my real old brothers were still alive, they would definitely shed tears for me. Even if they had to throw away their lives, they would still fight for me. At this point, he sighed and said, I'm not afraid of people's hearts changing, but I'm afraid that this organization wasn't left behind by me. What did he mean? Dong Dahu was astonished and looked at him doubtfully. I left behind a dozen organizations, but in the end, all of them were destroyed, leaving only this one. Should I believe it or suspect it? Old Gu sighed. At this point, he felt a little sad. If there really was such a hand behind the scenes that dared to make such a killing move, it would at least be a fierce person like the martial madman. He would definitely have killed his old brothers long ago. Just thinking about it made his back turn cold and his heart bleed. Chu Feng comforted him. Forget it, don't think so much. When the time comes, we can give it a try. It's not like you're going to come into contact with them. Just remote control and let them do it. Let's use other methods first. I've always had a fantasy in my heart. I've given myself hope that some of my old brothers can survive that most difficult period of time. He knew that it would be very difficult. His elder brother had passed away unexpectedly, and he had quickly gone into seclusion. Everything would be rewritten. Back in the day, Li Su sat on hundreds of millions of miles of land and looked down on the world of the living. But one day, he passed away, and such a huge country also fell apart overnight. Otherwise, he wouldn't have retreated in such a hurry and directly fled. The skies soon brightened. Chu Feng and Old Gu were in the summer province. They had been thinking about how to deal with the Mo family. This matter couldn't be retreated. The sky is already bright. Has G-Date appeared? In the outside world, all parties had long been paying attention. It was unknown how many organizations and how many super-evolved families were waiting anxiously. Something big might happen this morning. However, the sky was red, and the Mo family was calm. No one attacked. Following that, the sun rose into the sky, shining with dazzling golden light. They had already climbed a distance, but no one had come to visit. I say, it can't really be anticlimactic, right? At this time, countless people from all over the world of the living were paying attention to this matter, but in the end, there was no movement at all. The morning glow was brilliant, and the newspapers from all over the world of the living had long since published that the young G-Dade would challenge the Mo family, a foreign desolate race. This caused quite a stir. However, a long time had passed. Wasn't it too calm? I came out of seclusion, and in the end, nothing happened. This boring junior only knows how to brag. Some people were dissatisfied, and they were evolvers who weren't young. The sun was high up in the sky, but the Mo family was still calm as usual. No one attacked. Many people couldn't help but express their opinions. As for the newspapers with the largest circulation in the world of the living, they even published articles expressing their opinions. Did G-Dade stand the Mo family up? Is it cowardly and shamelessly running away? Or is it a smart way to protect himself? A hypocritical swindler. He deceived everyone and didn't dare to fight. He's just running away to attract attention. When the Heaven Morning Post and Black Blood newspaper published articles on their respective platforms, the people's restless mood naturally became even more agitated. I knew it. This G-Dade isn't reliable, a shameless swindler. He doesn't dare to attack the G family at all. He's just spouting a bunch of nonsense. Tisk, what's wrong with your brains? Do you even need to think about this? That's a foreign, desolate race with humanoid monarch's blood flowing in their veins. How can a nobody dare to challenge them? Some people's words weren't pleasant to hear. They were very disappointed that they didn't see a good show, so they ridiculed G-Dade. I already knew that G-Dade wouldn't dare to appear at all. He's just a weed. As long as he shows his head, he'll be pulled out by the Mo family. Sigh, how disappointing. I wanted to see a drama that would shake the world of the living, but in the end, there's nothing at all. Many people shook their heads. They felt that they had been cheated and were incomparably disappointed. Mo family's people were extremely calm. They had long-made preparations, just waiting for people to attack. In the end, everything was calm, as usual. Who does G-Dade think he is? Is he worthy of challenging my Mo clan? He's just an ignorant ant. The people of the Mo clan spoke, their words even more unpleasant to hear. However, they indeed had the confidence to do so. They were disdainful, arrogant, and contemptuous. They were waiting for G-Dade to appear, but in the end, nothing happened. G-Dade, you liar! In the outside world, many people were dissatisfied. Hey, G-Dade, could it be that you've been scared out of your wits by the MO clan? You really don't dare to show yourself? What are you shouting for? He is just an insignificant wild cultivator, and he dares to challenge a sovereign personage clan? Many evolvers expressed their dissatisfaction. G-Dade, where are your 100,000 soldiers? Do you dare to come and exterminate my MO clan? He, incompetent ant. The voice of the MO clan sounded even more domineering. Suddenly, some platforms immediately became quiet, some regions also instantly entering a deathly stillness because there were a few things that were currently happening that left everyone stunned. Kill! Battle cries shook the heavens and tore the sky apart. Some of the important places of the MO clan were suddenly attacked at the same time. Experts filled the sky, and experts gathered. They attacked fiercely and domineeringly, smashing the ancient and grand buildings into pieces. In an instant, a great battle broke out, and blood flowed like a river. A total of 100,000 soldiers appeared. Heavens, look! All the hunters in the Dark Forums have gone crazy. They have received terrifying rewards, and all of them are targeting the MO clan. Are they going to mobilize all the dark forces? In the summer state, Chu Feng was discussing with Old Gu. Old Gu, it's not enough. Should we ask that person to make a move? It would be great if we could trick him out of the world's greatest mountain. Chu Feng's eyes glowed green. When Old Gu heard this, he sucked in a cold breath. He naturally knew who Chu Feng was talking about. Number 9. Li Su's master was number 4. And in this world, there was actually a number 9, crying, should I write another chapter? It's not that early anymore. Chapter 1169. Wake up. If you really trick him into coming out, the world will collapse. Do you think number 9 is easy to deal with? Number 4 is exactly like him. He once taught Li Su. Old Gu said gravely. He called out his big brother's name as a warning. The MO family was going crazy. Originally, they had been waiting for G-Dade to behave atrociously. In truth, they didn't believe that he could entice experts to attack them. In the end, G-Dade didn't attack the MO family's headquarters or attack their ancestral court. However, the consequences were just as serious. 100,000 Dark Hunters rose up at the same time, and it was a sudden attack. These people were like bloodthirsty demons that had rushed out of hell. They suddenly attacked the MO family's various branches, and many of their properties were destroyed. Some divine mines exploded on the spot, and some medicine gardens were completely barren. As for some of their branches and secret cultivation realms, they collapsed immediately. Majestic buildings collapsed in large numbers, and blood splattered everywhere. This was a group of madmen. For the sake of the bounty, they had gone crazy. The MO family was badly battered. Urgent reports flew in like snowflakes from all over the place. There were too many of them. They didn't have many direct descendants with the humanoid monarch bloodline, but they were a large family with influence everywhere. Now, some important places had been uprooted, and they couldn't provide support at all. G-Dade! Someone roared in the MO family's ancestral court, shaking the firmament and scattering the clouds in the sky. What was going on? A mere wild cultivator, a youth, dared to attack the MO family? They couldn't believe it. How could G-Dade mobilize so many people? Patriarch, look at the Dark Forums. The value of the bounty is too high. The MO family finally knew what had happened. Someone had posted a huge bounty on the Dark Forums, and this was the result. 500 kilograms of sky gold stone. This kind of thing could be used to carve an Empyrean-level rune and become a great killing weapon. 500 kilograms of sky gold stone could be exchanged for a bowl of Granny Meng's soup. This kind of fortune liquid could increase an evolver's potential. Someone had actually thrown 500 kilograms of sky gold stone. This was a treasure-grade material. The mission this time was not difficult, and there was no requirement for those who walked in the darkness to attack the MO family's ancestral court. There was only one requirement, which was to flip over a building in any of the MO family's properties and kill a few people. In return, they would be able to obtain 5 kilograms of sky gold rock. The bounty was frighteningly generous, and the conditions were too relaxed. There were almost no restrictions. Therefore, this caused a sensation. The MO family had many businesses and many branches. There were too many places where they could attack. There was no need to risk their lives. Some people were confident that they could do this without leaving any traces. Therefore, some of the dark forces felt that this was too easy. They didn't even need to fight to the death with the MO family. They could reap great rewards just by acting in secret. However, in the end, everyone missed one point, and that was the gray area in the Yang realm was too vast, and there were too many underground organizations. The Yang realm was too big, and there were at least hundreds of thousands of dark organizations. As for the number of members, there was simply no way to estimate or count them. As such, the final result was extremely frightening. Because the mission was easy, many organizations dispatched experts to complete it. They stood out from hundreds of thousands of organizations and were confident that they wouldn't leave behind any future troubles. Those who dared to attack were naturally the top organizations, and the ones they dispatched were absolutely trustworthy top-notch experts. As a result, some of the MO family's properties weren't enough, and the MO family's sphere of influence wasn't enough for these people to sweep through. For a time, there were often several organizations attacking one place. They were all dark hunters, and after meeting each other, they knew each other's goal and thus began to fight over it. This was a terrifying power that had emerged from hundreds of thousands of organizations, and the evolvers who came from them were naturally ruthless. In the end, they fought so fiercely that some of the MO family's territories almost instantly exploded and fell apart. Too ferocious. There were even some organizations that almost fought each other. The original mission was too easy. They only needed to flip over one of the MO family's properties and kill a few people. They only needed to use the memory crystal to buy it and tidy it up. Who would have thought that there would be so many ruthless fellows fighting for business? 500 kilograms of sky gold rock was originally a big fat piece of meat that made some underground forces envious. However, it was impossible for them to mobilize such a large number of people all at once. There were over 100,000 powerful evolvers. It was because everyone felt that it was too easy. They weren't attacking the MO family's ancestral court, nor did they have to face an Empyrean. They might not even encounter a divine king. Therefore, this led to the eruption of countless darkness hunters. If they all attacked together, how could the MO clan's various businesses be fine? The scenes captured by the memory crystal and some divine eyes of science and technology showed that they were in a miserable state. The MO family's properties were almost completely wiped out. 500 kilograms of sky gold rock is indeed frightening. It's a large sum, but it's impossible to mobilize the power of the entire underground world. Now G-Dade has done it. The delicious fragrant bait has triggered a tide of darkness. Many hunters feel that they are competent enough, so they have appeared and attacked crazily. Some people came back to their senses and left a message on the dark forums. They were greatly shocked and then sighed. No one had expected this outcome at first. It was actually so shocking. Forget about others. Even the old man was stupefied. Then his body went cold. So many bloody executioners were actually mobilized. Because it was too easy, they rushed out like crazy to get a piece of the pie. In the end, they gathered together and formed a tide of darkness. It's too terrifying. Dong Dahu also came back to his senses. This is human nature. Chu Feng pretended to be ignorant. In reality, he was quite lacking in confidence. Getting rid of one of the MO family's properties outside could be exchanged for 5 kilograms of sky gold rock. This was naturally a fatal temptation. Chu Feng could imagine some of the consequences. However, he definitely didn't expect it to be this terrifying. Those underground powers were like sharks that smell blood. They all rushed out without any regard for anything else. Right now, the MO family's hearts were dripping blood. Their various properties were destroyed, just like that. Many people died. All types of ores and medicinal herbs were wiped out. Someone roared in anger, about to vomit blood. A little evil creature, a wild cultivator, can even do such a great thing. Some people from the MO family were simply going crazy. As for the outside world, they were all dumbstruck. Then, everyone felt their backs go cold. How terrifying was this? Originally, no one believed that someone could pay the price to mobilize all the dark organizations in the world of the living. In the end, G-Dade's unexpected action made them see a possibility. This was truly a crazy day. In many people's eyes, this was a coincidence and a sudden occurrence. This matter was simply like a straw that moved a planet. It was too inconceivable. The MO family was bleeding. Although most of the businesses were managed by evolvers attached to them, there are definitely people from the MO family who died miserably. 100,000 Dark Hunters were equivalent to 100,000 fiends charging out of hell. The rain of blood they stirred up was extremely terrifying. The experts of the MO family went crazy. They immediately killed their way out to eliminate the perpetrators. They wanted to avenge their clansmen and recover the losses of their properties. However, this group of underground powers were too sharp. They had already escaped at the first moment after the crime was committed. Why did they dare to take action? It was because they had enough confidence that they wouldn't leave any traces behind. They had already prepared a path of retreat. For a moment, all kinds of teleportation, divine, magnetic platforms appeared one after another and burned. Many ashes were left in various places, as well as the ruins and blood of the MO family. There was nothing else. Everything had been destroyed and destroyed. 100,000 Dark Hunters and 100,000 devils came and left quickly. They all disappeared. Because they had originally moved separately and didn't march as a whole, they were much more agile now. On this day, many of the experts of the MO family went crazy. Chu Feng said, "Old Gu, look, this is satisfying. There were coincidences and accidents that led to this result. That's why we destroyed most of the MO family's businesses, but we didn't cause them any serious damage. We didn't kill their direct descendants, and we didn't kill a celestial venerable. We still have to offer a reward." Old Gu's nose almost became crooked from anger. "You wastrel, do you know what 500 kilograms of sky goldstone means? Do you think the cost is small? If it's an equivalent exchange, it's 1,000 bowls of Granny Meng's soup." Old Gu was furious. This time, his heart was also dripping blood. Chu Feng smiled apologetically and said, "That coffin of yours is so big. I think it's at least 20,000 kilograms. How can we use up so much? Why don't we stake it all on one throw and make another vicious wave? We offer a large reward for the life of a celestial venerable from the MO family. There must be people willing to go hunt him down, right? You." Old Gu's lips were trembling. This guy was eyeing his coffin and wouldn't stop. Chu Feng laughed dryly and said, "Not much. I reckon that this time, we'll offer a reward of 1,000 kilograms of sky gold stone to buy the life of a celestial venerable. If it doesn't work, we'll slowly increase the price. How about it?" Old Gu's face was livid as he said, "Do you really think sky goldstone is cabbage? Back then, I dug up an ancestral mine of sky goldstone from the Yang realm and only obtained a little over 5,000 kilograms. You won't use up my coffin capital today. You've already revived, so what do you need it for? It's too ominous. Besides, your coffin was originally going to explode. It's just right to spend a portion now." Chu Feng said with a sullen face. "Get out of my way." Old Gu was unwilling. The sky gold stone was of great use, so he couldn't use it all. In the entire Yang realm, he was probably one of the people who possessed the most of this stone. Dong Dahu sighed and said, "I've never thought that just a coffin beside Old Gu would have such a shocking value and be able to do such a big thing. Old Gu's collection and foundation are truly terrifying." Chu Feng said, "He's Li Su's sworn brother and was once a powerhouse of his generation. Naturally, he has countless good things hidden away. He wasn't stingy with his praise because he wanted Old Gu to keep up the good work. I won't use my coffin capital even if you beat me to death." Old Gu rejected righteously. Chu Feng said, "Then use your 4 kinds of tokens and let them kill the celestial venerables of the MO family. If we don't kill their important figures, we won't be able to vent our anger. He felt that up until now. Even if they uprooted many of the MO family's businesses, they would only be plucking their hair. They still wouldn't be able to hurt their muscles, bones, and flesh. Let me think about it. Use it cautiously. Old Gu replied. He was somewhat apprehensive. This won't do, and that won't do. It seems like I'll have to use my own capital. Chu Feng said unyieldingly. He was ready to throw caution to the wind. If he didn't make the Mo family shed a large amount of humanoid monarch blood, he wouldn't rest. So much so that he couldn't wait to use the reincarnation soil and the Blackwood spear. What do you want? Old Gu asked. Do you think I can hire people to kill celestial venerables by throwing out a few bloodline fruits as a reward? Chu Feng asked. Old Gu immediately became anxious and said, Do you know the value of the bloodline fruit? It can truly defy the heavens and change one's fate. It can raise a creature's bloodline to the extreme and turn them into a foreign, desolate race. It's simply priceless. How many do you want to throw out? Do you understand its influence? You mean that if I take out a few bloodline fruits, it shouldn't be a problem to kill the celestial venerables of the Mo family? Chu Feng said. Chapter 1170. Old Gu wanted to eat him, but this was a waste. Why did he need so many? He gritted his teeth and said, You're blaspheming the bloodline fruit. You might as well commit suicide to atone for your sins. This time, it was Chu Feng's turn to hit him. How could he say that? Of course, he had already expected the bloodline fruit's shocking value. The reason he didn't care was naturally to provoke Old Gu and test its true value. Among the divine medicines, celestial venerable grass, and almighty fruits, the bloodline fruit was the most special. It could truly change one's fate. As long as one's bloodline contained a fragment of an ancient and powerful creature's gene, consuming the bloodline fruit would be able to fully activate that gene and undergo a metamorphosis. In the end, it could cause a creature's bloodline to undergo a shocking transformation. It would become a foreign, desolate race. Foreign, desolate races were so rare that not many of them could be found in the Yang realm. 90% of them had degenerated. After living to this era, not all the powerful races could guarantee the purity of their bloodline. No matter how powerful a race or how glorious a dynasty was, there would come a day when they would decline and eventually disappear in the passage of time. The bloodline fruit could give these declining races a chance to change their fate, allowing them to regain their glory when they fought for hegemony in the Yang realm. In a sense, the bloodline fruit could help them summon their souls. To put it bluntly, it could allow some terrifying prehistoric races to rise from the ashes. Some clans that had disappeared in the passage of time were too powerful. Back then, they had caused the entire Yang realm to tremble and even dared to attack the supreme, forbidden areas of the Yang realm. What kind of glory was that? There were immortal dynasties that had been destroyed in history. What would happen if they really recreated the bloodline of their ancestors? Most importantly, some declining clans still had half-dead celestial venerables holding down the fort. There were even almighties from prehistoric times who were struggling at death's door. If they were given a bloodline fruit, they would do everything in their power to nurture a successor who could rival their ancestor. That person would definitely be able to reverse the situation and rise to power. There are indeed some such clans, but they have disappeared. However, if they are given a chance, they will be able to summon the wind and rain and shake the Yang realm once again. Old Gu sighed and talked about some old matters. There were some races that even Li Su had looked up to and feared. For example, the Bodhi Buddhist race, the primitive Tao race, and the human race with 9-colored blood. These were all foreign races that had disappeared in the long river of history. They were so powerful that they had boundless magic power. One had to know that the Buddhist race and the Tao race were great races that were ranked at the forefront. How strong would the Bodhi Buddhist race and the primitive Tao race be if they broke away from their races and established themselves as their own race? It was said that in the world of mortals, some people's wealth did not last more than 3 generations. It was the same in the world of evolution. Some ridiculously powerful races eventually went extinct because of the contamination of their own bloodlines. In the end, their bloodlines were no longer pure enough, until it completely declined and then disappeared forever. Back then, when my big brother was exploring the ruins of some of the most powerful races in history, he had once encountered an old fellow from the Bodhi Buddhist race in 3 Stars Cave. That person was truly capable of reaching the heavens and moving the earth, suppressing both past and present. He was terrifying to the extreme, and only after fighting to the death did he finally suppress him. Yes, back then, when the last youth of the human race with 9-color blood was born, he dared to fight a group of old fellows from the Yang realm. At that time, my big brother hadn't even appeared yet. Li Su's grandfather was only 16 or 17 years old. He was fortunate enough to see that person's glory from afar. Unfortunately, that young human king died young. Otherwise, there might have been an immortal legend in the Yang realm. All right, I got it. Chu Feng realized that he had been led astray by old Gu. He had almost delayed the important matter after listening to him talk about the past. Old Gu said, "Yes, it's good that you know. The most terrifying races in history will appear sooner or later. That's because there are 3 bloodline fruits in the Yang realm. Apart from the one we found, the other 2 might not have truly withered. If they get their hands on the fruit, it's possible that the world will be turned upside down." Dong Dao mumbled. Why did it feel like a sealed, forbidden magic box? Once it was opened, some vanished races would reappear. Then, they might shine with immortal light and cause the world to collapse. Nothing is absolute. A powerful bloodline is naturally terrifying. However, there are some people with ordinary bloodlines who can still shake the world and become invincible. Perhaps they're even more powerful. Old Gu gave examples, such as Li Su and the Martial Madman. All of them were very abnormal, but he had never heard of them coming from prominent families and rising to power on their own. There are some fruits that you cannot trade for even if you have 1,000 kilograms of heavenly goldstones and a pile of heavenly materials and earthly treasures. For example, the bloodline fruit or the invincible pollen and the strongest exotic fruit mentioned in the article on the path of evolution published by the Black Blood Institute. No matter how many resources you offer, nobody will trade for them. Old Gu explained further, explaining how precious a fruit that could change one's fate was. Yes, I got it. How about this, Old Gu? Later, try to use your token to summon people to attack the MO family. Test the quality of that organization and see if it's still in your old brother's hands. If it really doesn't work, I'll release 1 or half a bloodline fruit. Chu Feng said solemnly, you have to consider the Martial Madman's killing intent. Old Gu reminded him. After all, when they were picking the bloodline fruit, they had killed a ferocious person from the Martial Madman's faction. That person was a 3rd transformation extinction king who was practicing the 7 deadly forms and walking the same path as the Martial Madman. Needless to say, this person's identity was not simple. He was definitely somewhat terrifying. I've been fighting with them for a long time. Ever since we parted ways at the Dragon Nest in the border region, these people have been wanting to kill me. What's one more crime? Chu Feng was sure that they wouldn't be able to find him. It wasn't like he had never killed a core disciple of this faction before. So what if there was one more person practicing the 7 deadly forms? Of course, it couldn't be the Martial Madman's illegitimate child. Thinking about it, it was impossible. Even a divine king would find it difficult to give birth to a child. Heavenly venerables were considered infertile, let alone the Martial Madman. If he had a child with someone at that realm, that would definitely be an epic-making miracle, as long as it wasn't his biological son or his illegitimate child. The Martial Madman wouldn't bat an eyelid even if Mount Meru collapsed in front of him. He would continue to practice in seclusion and seek a breakthrough. Of course, Chu Feng also felt a little guilty, although the Martial Madman wouldn't necessarily find trouble with him. If he really used his bloodline, the hundreds of thousands of dark organizations would definitely be like sharks that smelled blood and would frantically search for his whereabouts. This was a big problem. Therefore, he really didn't dare to touch that fruit for the time being. He wasn't afraid of a force looking for him. He was afraid that all the organizations in the world would turn around and target him. Old Goo was also in a dilemma, wondering whether he should probe that organization or not. However, a shocking change happened. Before they could make a move, someone else had already made a move. It was a rather decisive move. When the MO family's experts went out to kill their way, to seek revenge from the hundreds of thousands of dark hunters, two people approached the MO family cemetery. They each clapped their hands and leaped into the void, disappearing from sight. Boom! The MO family's cemetery exploded. The so-called MO family cemetery was related to too much. It was where the true human kings of past dynasties were buried. This was their pure land, the resting place of their ancestors. Even though they had died countless years ago, and some of them had even passed away in prehistoric times, they were still vivid and lifelike, their bodies unbreakable. The human king bloodline was incomparably tyrannical, existing even after death. The effects of this matter were too great. Both of them were extremely powerful, and they were actually heavenly deities. They forcefully shook the MO family's ancestral grave. The tombstones collapsed. The terrifying tombstones erupted, reaching into the sky. They were several 100,000 zhang tall, grand and majestic. The most powerful symbols flickered, and the epitaphs swirled about, shattering the void. It had to be said that the MO family's ancestral graves arrangements were too powerful. After enduring 2 palm strikes from the heavenly deities, it still wasn't destroyed, only damaged. Some tombstones were overturned, revealing the divine with coffins and the 5-color burial ground. There were even some coffins that were broken, with the corpses of human kings tumbling out. There were also some great tombs that weren't shaken, still imperishable and surging with waves of colorful mist. Of course, there were some great tombs that were even more damaged, with the corpses of human kings dripping with blood. Inside the MO family, there was an owl-like howl. A skinny old woman appeared, all of her hair falling off. Her cultivation realm was immeasurable. She hurried to the cemetery with a single step. Her hand reached into the void. Symbol light swirled about, simply about to crush the heavens and freeze time. She wanted to trace back the past and capture those two. However, those two made ample preparations. They had secret treasures on them that concealed their auras, impossible to trace back. The 2 heavenly deities disappeared without a trace. They successfully escaped, disappearing just like that. The old woman was, without a doubt, a great figure, MO family's female human king. She woke up from her seclusion state, just like that, directly rushing out. With a sound, she disappeared again, chasing after them. Her eye sockets were sunken, as if 2 balls of willow wisps were jumping about as she chased after the ones who took action. This world was silently destroyed, and then it exploded. A terrifying wormhole appeared. That old woman looked like she was declining, but she was powerful to the point where even the older evolvers' hearts trembled, their scalps going numb. No one knew just how powerful she was. So what if you chased after me? Do you think this little grandpa is scared of you? If you have the guts, then find me. Your grandpa to you has nothing to fear. Long to you spoke, using the universal brain to challenge them. He wasn't the slightest bit afraid as he challenged the MO family. This was truly too much. He didn't let G-Dade monopolize all the glory, so he also took action. He contacted his old brothers from back then, friends who had gone through life and death together, to help him vent his anger. After these 2 slaps, not to mention the others, even Chu Feng was shocked speechless. This strange dragon was actually a ruthless fellow. He really made a move, and moreover, it was aimed at the ancestral graves of the foreign desolate races. How ruthless! Long to you. We will slaughter you no matter where you go. We swear on the name of the MO family's ancestors that we will definitely kill you. The eyes of the MO family's men, women, and children were all scarlet red from anger. This was even more terrifying than 100,000 demons coming out at the same time and destroying large amounts of their property. This was targeting the human king cemetery. Fortunately, the MO family's tombs were all special and had been arranged beforehand. Otherwise, they would have been completely destroyed. Not a single one of the ancestors resting in peace would be able to escape. They would all be beaten out and their corpses destroyed. Do you think this young master is scared? Those two are only the disciples of two of my old friends. Don't think that you are the only ones with experts. I solemnly warn you, if you don't withdraw the bounty, this matter isn't over. I will continue, and my methods will be even more ruthless. Long Dayu's threats truly stunned the evolvers from all over the Yang realm. This person wasn't inferior to G-Dade in the slightest. He was similarly extravagant and wanted to pierce through the heavens. Long Dayu, your death is not to be regretted. You have disturbed the ancestors' souls, so we will grind your bones to dust. Kill. The densely packed figures of the MO family rushed out. They used all their connections and methods to search for Long Dayu in the world and drag him out. Are you guys going to bite me? Long Dayu looked like a dead pig that wasn't afraid of boiling water. He left behind one last figure and ran away after throwing the universal brain. At this time, G-Dade appeared again and challenged the MO family, telling them to withdraw the bounty and give them one last chance. Otherwise, they would have to bear the consequences. Everyone in the MO family was enraged. There was no justice in this world. They were a humanoid king family, yet they were badly battered by two little bastards and suffered disastrous losses. They were truly too furious. At the same time, Chu Feng tried to contact Long Dayu and left a private message on a certain platform. Brother Dayu, your methods and your style are truly peerless. I admire you very much. We are like-minded. How about I invite you to become the #1 beauty among the 4 great beauties? Long Dayu, #% and *. Long Dayu hated G-Dade to death. He had inexplicably made him a scapegoat, and now he even dared to tease him and say that he was the #1 beauty. Long Dayu, how can you not appreciate my kindness and actually curse at me? If you want to join again in the future, you can only be #2. Shouted Chu Feng. Long Dayu stomped his feet in anger. Right now, he didn't know what the 4 great beauties were or what organization they were. He only thought that Chu Feng was teasing him, so he gnashed his teeth. G-Dade, just you wait. Don't let me catch you. He threw down the universal brain and ran away again. Long Dayu, you really don't appreciate my kindness. Listen to me. We 4 great beauties are destined to go down in history and shake the world of the living. We will illuminate the past, present, and future. F*CK your grandpa. At the same time, Chu Feng also changed locations and switched to the universal brain. He shouted at the MO family. The bounty won't be withdrawn, right? The Celestial Venerate massacre has begun. He was carrying out a final threat and intimidation. Chapter 1171. How could the MO family accept such a threat? The old fellows, the living fossil-level existences in power, were all seething with anger, wishing they could skin G-Dade alive. Of course, the clan wanted to roast Long Dayu even more. No matter what happened in the future, the MO family had fallen miserably today. This was a painful setback, completely ruining their reputation. They were just 2 brats. Yet they were already in such a sorry state. This was too embarrassing. G-Dade, you're daydreaming. Who do you think you are to threaten us? The MO family naturally wouldn't compromise. They responded powerfully, their eyes cold. They really wanted to find that youth and humiliate him to death. Unfortunately, they couldn't find where he was. Fine, today, I will officially declare war against you all. What happened earlier was just a warm-up. Let the heavenly deity hunting operation begin. Chu Feng clamored. This declaration triggered a huge uproar. Many people were speechless. After causing such a great commotion, it was still just an appetizer, not the main course. Some people were burning with excitement, looking forward to it. They wanted nothing more than to see the 4 and desolate races being tossed around miserably. Many people were happy to see this happen. The 100,000 Dark Hunters had just retreated. What else did he want? How was he going to hunt heavenly deities? Many people were guessing, and they were all excited. In a mountainous region, Old Gu glared at Chu Feng and said, "Don't look at me. Even if you throw out a ton of heavenly golden rock, it's useless. Even the dark organizations are not willing to accept it if you want to use it to kill a heavenly venerable from a humanoid king clan." What he said was the truth. The MO family was a foreign, desolate race, and the heavenly deities they produced were too powerful and terrifying. Moreover, the MO family definitely had a great being overseeing it. If they were targeted by such a monster, their fates would be incomparably miserable. Who would be willing to take the risk? The price-performance ratio was too low. Generally speaking, in this world, there were very few who hunted heavenly deities. It was too unrealistic. A great being could indeed do it, but these evolved creatures were 90% in a dying state. It was still alright if they cultivated in seclusion all year round. Most of them were in a state of suspended animation to avoid losing their life essence energy. Hoping that these creatures would accept missions and assassinate others was simply a joke. Who could command them? Moreover, how many treasures were there in this world that were worth their attention? In fact, even Empyreans rarely came out to take on jobs. It was rare, even in the dark organizations. After all, their status and identity were there. So you're saying that we can only use the bloodline fruit to invite the old monsters of the clan to kill the MO family's heavenly venerables? Chu Feng asked. He really didn't want to use this fruit. If he did that, the repercussions would be too terrifying. At that time, it wouldn't just be one faction that would target him, but a large number of underground organizations and underground forces that would go crazy. Forget it. Don't touch that fruit. It's the same as opening a box of evil. All sorts of monsters and demons will come knocking on your door. Old Gu shook his head. He made up his mind to test the quality of the organization. He listened to Chu Feng's suggestion and wanted to see the performance of the organization. Chu Feng relaxed when he heard that and said, "Yes, even if this bloodline fruit is to be used, it should be used to place a bounty on the extreme martial heavenly lord to destroy his flesh and slay your soul light." "That's right, this old bastard. I really want to kill him right now," Dong Dahu said. Chu Feng said, "However, I still hope to kill him with my own hands and reap his head with my own strength." The extreme martial heavenly lord had almost become his heart demon. This was also the driving force behind his rise. Why did he break through the reincarnation cycle and enter the world of the living? He wanted to find his old friends and take revenge for his parents and friends. Imperceptibly, the extreme martial heavenly lord had become a source of motivation for him to move forward. Think thrice before you act, Old Gu warned. Killing the martial madman's faction's divine kings wasn't a problem, but directly killing a heavenly venerable would have too great of an impact. Especially if Chu Feng dared to look for the dark organizations and mobilize underground forces to hunt and assassinate the martial madman. It might really anger the martial madman. Because the martial madman himself is one of the sources of darkness. How many underground forces would dare to make a move against this faction? Old Gu sighed. If he wanted to kill the extreme martial heavenly lord, even the martial madman would have nothing to say if he killed him in a normal battle. He wouldn't need to come out and might even ignore it. However, if he dared to mobilize the dark forces in his domain to attack his faction, it would definitely be like poking a hornet's nest. This Shelley might already be an invincible existence outside, daring to massacre the world. Normally, no one would be willing to assassinate a heavenly venerable, not to mention the extreme martial heavenly lord, whose origin was related to darkness. It was likely that no one would come out to hunt him. After this matter is over, I will go and evolve. I want to rise quickly, Chu Feng said softly. That day, in a certain empty valley filled with chaotic chi, an ancient temple floated in the void, sitting in the crack of time. Lightning flashed from time to time, but it was all silent. The ancient temple floated there motionlessly. Is he back? He actually used this level of token. He actually resurrected. This was the organization founded by Old Gu. Its headquarters transcended the world and was located in a special space-time. Now, the leaders of the organization were in a secret meeting. That was because Old Goo displayed a token that was surging with white light. After throwing it somewhere, he informed them to feign an attack on the MO clan. Old Goo was relatively soft-hearted and told them that their own safety was the most important. They didn't need to attack fiercely, and they could escape after a slight contact. Probing attacks were enough. Are we really going to attack the MO clan? That's a human king clan. If there is a living, prehistoric human king, we won't be able to bear the consequences. Someone in the ancient temple spoke. Even if there is a prehistoric human king, he is still asleep and won't be able to wake up in time. If the situation is not good, we will immediately retreat. We have enough time. We must attack. I want to know if Old has resurrected. In the end, this organization moved. That day, outside the MO clan's ancestral court, a formless, oppressive atmosphere suddenly appeared. Then, a giant golden hand stretched out from the sky. It was boundlessly terrifying and immediately slapped toward the MO clan's ancestral land. It was too tyrannical. Damn it, who is it? It had to be said that the MO clan was too powerful. Their foundation was frightening and astonishing. They reacted immediately, and a top character revived. With a boom, a purple, lustrous hand stretched out and blocked the giant golden hand. Boom. However, in the next moment, a large black hand appeared in the sky. It formed a fist imprint and smashed down fiercely once again. It was powerful. Within the MO clan's ancestral court, a mother gold sword surging with immortal light shot out and hacked toward the black fist in the sky. Lightning flashed and thunder rumbled. Great Tao symbols exploded. This was too terrifying. It shocked the outside world. No one knew what level of collision this was. Moo! A loud roar rang out. The barbaric ox's voice shook the world as if it was going to tear apart the past, present, and future. In the sky, an emaciated black ox appeared. It was like an unrivaled ox demon with coarse horns and dark ox hair that was about to fall off. It was shriveled, but it was exceptionally powerful. With a bang, it raised one of its hooves and stomped down. It was as if the world was falling apart. The MO clan's mountain-protecting domain was fully activated to block its attack. However, the MO clan's mountain gate was still blasted open and razed to the ground. Heavens, is that a battle between great powers? The outside world was shaken. They saw an aged barbaric ox and guessed its realm. They were incomparably alarmed and alarmed. After seeing this scene through the universe brain, the old man's heart trembled. Even his eyes were red as he sighed and said, I already had my suspicions when I saw that divine king barbaric ox in Ming Prefecture. Now, I've also seen such an old barbaric ox. I'm sure that this is the descendant of that brother of mine from back then. Perhaps it's his son. Moo! The ox's roar shook the sky. This was a beast that surpassed divine beasts. The barbaric ox's sound waves shattered the firmament as it attacked the MO clan. Chapter 1172. The three creatures were powerful and terrifying. They attacked the foreign wasteland race, the MO family. This battle was short and hurried, but it was too intense. 1. Within the MO family, a mother gold sword tore through the sky. It was as if it was going to sever eternity. The entire sky dome was split into two. You think I'm scared of you? A cold snort came from the strange wasteland beast in the sky. It directly blasted downwards. A dazzling golden light whistled down like a sun, smashing towards the MO family ancestral court. That place was too dazzling. The void shattered. If they were scared of the MO family, they wouldn't have taken action. Dang! Within the MO family, a long and drawn-out bell sound rang out. It was as if the first great bell of the primordial era had appeared. It scattered the primal chaos, separated yin and yang, separated the pure from the turbid, splitting the heavens and earth, and thus all living beings were born. It was too terrifying. This bell shone, and ripples surged. The bell waves were shocking, rushing into the heavens like sword waves. This was a terrifying treasure of the MO family, an innate great artifact that protected the clan. It directly floated into the air, silver light erupting. Roar. The demonic ox roar was ear-splitting. Even though that black, strange wasteland beast was emaciated to the point where its bones could be seen, it was still terrifying when it roared. This old bull seemed to be declining. Its eye sockets were sunken, but as soon as it fought, black light surged from its body like raging flames. It was as if it was going to burn down the 33 heavens. It was the main attacker. Under the cooperation of the other two creatures, it swooped down. The demonic ox roar shook the world. This was its race's world-shaking innate ability. After this old bull displayed it, its power was truly incomparable. It was a powerful being. All of its black hair stood on end, as if an angry Buddha had descended into this world. Roar. The roar was rhythmic, like the sound of world destruction. This strange beast erupted with a terrifying divine ability after going berserk. One could see that what it roared out was a black ripple. It hacked down like a heaven-splitting axe. Dang! The black ripple collided with the great silver bell, forming a terrifying scene like a collision of stars. This was a collision of energy. In that place, even time seemed to have been annihilated. The black hole and resplendent light interweaved, flickering between bright and dark. It was incomparably terrifying. How long? The heavens collapsed and the earth caved in. The great bell trembled. If it was any other object, it would have long been smashed into pieces. However, this was one of the MO family's sect protecting secret treasures. It released chaotic energy, an innate object that had been refined by many generations of ancestors. It released woo-woo sounds on its own, seeking good fortune and avoiding calamity. At the same time, a large purple hand reached out from MO family's ancestral court, striking towards the skies, as if it was going to shatter eternity. Great Tao symbols appeared, releasing terrifying rumbling sounds. It was too domineering. Bang! In the sky, a black fist smashed down and collided with the huge purple hand. Old Ox, continue. Break MO family's mountain-protecting great bell. An aged voice sounded from the heavens above. At the same time, a black fist appeared, as well as a large golden hand on the old ox's shoulder, helping him. Together, they activated extremely terrifying energy downwards. Moo! The ox's roar shook the heavens. A pair of rough ox horns appeared, formed from energy. They hacked towards the great bell, wishing to shatter it. Who can break through this bell? MO family's people shouted, also going crazy, also going all out. At the same time, that mother gold sword appeared again, hacking towards the skies above. This time, in the sky, that black fist didn't smash down, but instead, a terrifying large mouth appeared in its original location, devouring everything. It was as if a black sun appeared, wrapping around the mother gold sword. That was a Tao Tai, extremely aged, its flesh also withered, skin wrapped around bones. It opened its large mouth, wishing to snatch away the mother gold sword. Another strange, desolate beast appeared, precisely the one who previously brandished the black fist, wishing to seize this sword. Evil creature, you dare! Someone from MO family roared. In the sky, that golden creature also revealed itself, becoming a golden Paishio. It was definitely a strange, desolate beast, withered and shriveled, but released powerful energy fluctuations. A bony black, strange, desolate ox stood at the center. At its sides were the old Tao Tai and Paishio. They were like three terrifying, blazing suns. Even though they were extremely aged, when they suppressed downwards, it was still world-shaking. Even time seemed to have been severed by them. Heaven and earth even more so split into two, suppressing towards MO family. Chong! That mother gold sword was struck flying by the three of them, only stabilized by that large bell. Then, the three of them each displayed their own methods, suppressing the great bell. With a dang sound, the great silver bell swayed, almost falling onto the ground, making MO family's hearts almost jump out from their mouths. If it fell, there would be countless casualties. Moo! The ox's roar shook the heavens, for hooves trampling down, the void collapsing. Great Tao symbols covered this place densely, pouring down like boiling magma. This old ox was forcefully smashing against the great bell, trampling down towards it. This region's bell sounds shook the heavens. In the outside world, everyone was completely stupefied. Today, MO family encountered shocking changes. Everything was too terrifying. Could it be that MO family was going to be conquered? At the crucial moment, MO family's experts roared, activating the great bell, wishing to blast away the old ox, to the extent where they even wanted to blast it apart. The old ox, under the assistance of the two beside him, used sound waves to suppress the bell sounds. Then, it reached out a hoof, turning it into a large black hand, forcefully plucking the bell. The large black hand covered the sky, about to wrap around that great bell. You dare! MO family's people were furious. This was one of their clan's secret treasures, so how could it be lost? It was refined by a deceased elder king. If it was stolen, what face would MO family have left? Why wouldn't Grandpa Ox dare? This old one is also from a foreign wasteland race. Who's scared of who? The old ox demon roared angrily. Dang! The great bell shook, making heaven and earth tremble. At this time, everyone in MO family went crazy, activating the restrictions and other things. Tens of thousands of scarlet arrows shot out, piercing through heaven and earth, flying towards the sky. A muffled roar sounded. That old Tao displayed its might, opening its bloody mouth, collecting all of the arrows inside. The scene was terrifying. The Tao swallowed the heavens, refining all things. It was rumored that once this race evolved to the extreme, they could even eat heaven and earth. The most powerful could restore the Yang realm to its primal chaos state before the heavens were opened. 3 evil creatures, even daring to behave atrociously in the human king family. Not a single one is allowed to leave. Kill them all. Activate the heaven absolute domain. Someone shouted from within MO family. Voila! Inside MO family, 18 great banners appeared, all of them blood-colored. As they swayed, a storm of symbols appeared, tearing apart heaven and earth, engulfing heaven overflowing blood-colored energy, about to submerge this place. MO family, you are too arrogant. This old one has come to lend the 3 Tao friends a hand. At this time, a hoarse voice sounded from the heavens above. An old man appeared, holding a large green hammer in his hand. Like a god of thunder, he appeared and smashed downwards. In reality, he wasn't the only one. There was also a 9-headed bird, a strange, desolate bird. It spread its wings and soared, swooping down. The 9 bird heads were all shining, their beaks opened, spitting out black lightning, accompanied by a rain of blood. Baleful energy overflowed into the heavens, the irregular scene shaking the world as it attacked the MO family. Mother asterisk cur. Someone in MO family couldn't help but curse. How could they normally encounter these types of creatures? 5 of them came at once, all of them strange, desolate level creatures. Heavenly deities normally couldn't be seen, and normally they wouldn't appear in the world. Yet today, 5 of them with withered life force and on the verge of death came to attack MO family. They wanted to exterminate the family. A single one of these creatures could overturn mountains and rivers, wipe out large amounts of powerful clans. Now, 5 terrifying, strange, desolate beasts descended, joining hands to attack MO family. Even a human king family was scared. If this continued, MO family would be massacred, wiped out. Even a human king family, as powerful as the strange, desolate land, couldn't have so many powerful beings. There was even less of a need to talk about other clans. There were some well-known clans, but they didn't even have heavenly deities. As for powerful beings, they didn't even want to use them. Today, what happened here would definitely shake the world of the living. That is this young master's old friend. How can we let G-Dade enjoy all the glory? Will MO family's arrest order be revoked? Long Day you spoke, using the universal brain to speak. MO family's people were shocked, angry, humiliated, and sullen. At the same time, they felt humiliation and their hearts trembling. They offended a brat like Long Dayu. Yet in the end, he could really move two powerful beings? What kind of joke was this? At the same time, they thought of G-Dade. The result of offending him was even more terrifying and sinister, provoking three supreme beings to attack first, wanting to take down Mo family's ancestral court. This was truly unreasonable, too laughable. They were just two brats, yet in the end, they actually triggered such a huge storm, bringing a great disaster to Mo family. They were shocked, angry, humiliated, and at the same time, regretful. If they had known earlier, they definitely wouldn't have humiliated those two little lunatics, wouldn't have provoked those two brats. The gains didn't make up for the losses. The world was shocked, with the appearance of five powerful beings, not to mention ordinary orthodoxies. Even the expressions of the top clans in the world of the living changed. Normally speaking, once five strange, desolate level creatures appeared, who could contend against them? This was especially the case after Long Dayu and G-Dade used the universal brain to speak. Moreover, these two interacted, putting pressure on Mo family, asking if they were convinced or not. They even asked if they wanted to revoke the arrest order. This truly made everyone's eyeballs pop out. It's not enough, even if you revoke the arrest order. You still have to compensate. Long Dayu shouted, "I want to defend my rights. I want compensation." Boom! In the sky above Mo family, the five strange, desolate beasts displayed their might, shaking the world of the living. Burn incense and pray. Summon the ancestors. Mo family was anxious, wanting to fight to the death. When these words were spoken, the mountains and rivers trembled. Chapter 1173. Summoning the Primogenitor? This low roar made the five strange beasts' fine hairs stand on end. They were all greatly alarmed. That was the primogenitor human king, someone with heaven-reaching magical power, someone who reigned over an era. There was no need to think about it. He was definitely an extreme figure during his era. This kind of creature was probably a terrifying existence that could fight against a martial madman. He had transcended the human race and was known as a human king. He was also a primogenitor. He was definitely heaven-defying. However, was he really still alive? They thought of this problem. Normally speaking, it was difficult for creatures from that era to survive until now. They had almost all gone extinct. Moreover, according to the information they obtained, this race's primogenitor should have died, and he had died for many years. The outside world was in an uproar. They were all incredibly shocked. The Mo family's primogenitor was still alive. He had single-handedly created this foreign race, a true human king. Could he still reappear in this world? This was an extremely terrifying matter. This made many races in the outside world tremble. They felt a chill that came from deep within their bones. So people were doubtful. Was this reliable? If the human king primogenitor really did return, who could stop him? Who are you trying to scare? It's just a pile of withered bones. At most, his corpse was refined with a special secret method, borrowing his fame from when he was alive. If you really dare summon him, we'll just directly blast him to pieces. The nine-headed bird spoke powerfully and tyrannically. When it opened its mouth, black lightning shot out and a rain of blood poured down from the sky. Within the Mo family, a large force was currently being mobilized. A purple incense stick was burning and releasing special fluctuations. Everyone was worshipping it together, summoning the primogenitor. Break through the Mo family? What human king primogenitor? It's a lie. The elder with the green hammer smashed down with great lightning. Bang! Outside the Mo family, the great earth cracked and mountain peaks exploded. The scene was extremely horrifying. This was not an ordinary place, but rather the foreign race's ancestral court. Every blade of grass and tree was meticulously arranged, and a shocking domain had been laid down. It was difficult for outsiders to move. Now, apart from the Mo family's ancestral court, the surrounding regions and mountains had all collapsed. Nothing existed, completely blasted apart. You want to disturb us, summoning the primogenitor? Do you really think my MO family is a soft persimmon that you can squash as you please? Someone from the MO family snorted coldly. He produced a secret treasure. It was 9 withered yellow pieces of paper with special symbols written on them. These were the writings of the predecessors whose names had once shaken the world. Boom! The 9 withered yellow talisman papers all rose into the air. All of them died in blood. They began to burn, turning into 9 large hands, slapping towards the heavenly dome above. The heavens and earth collapsed. Ghosts and deities howled. The 5 strange, desolate beasts escaped. They did not fight it head-on, because it was not worth it. The paper was just a dead object. There was no need to use their withered and weakened bodies to fight it head-on. Let's see how many of your MO family has. Come. In the sky, the 9-headed bird shouted. They had returned, and the pressure they released was terrifying. The entire void was trembling, and cracks began to appear. As for the surface of the ground, apart from MO family's ancestral cord, everything else was collapsing, exploding, and sinking. Magma surged, as if the end of the world had arrived. And this was a situation caused by the natural leakage of chi before they even made a move. Meanwhile, the original domains in those areas had all been obliterated and collapsed. Old Ox, Tautai, and Pichio from that organization frowned. Although they didn't really believe that the primogenitor human king was still alive, they felt that there might be a terrifying human king from another era in slumber. Weapon depository, open, someone from the MO clan shouted, domineering to the end. At this juncture, it was impossible for them to compromise or retreat. Otherwise, if they made others feel weak, it might lead to the destruction of their entire clan. The Evolvers who had a grudge against them were definitely not limited to the 5 people in front of them. It would be even more troublesome if they provoked their old enemies who were struggling at death's door. A treasury opened, and divine light rushed into the heavens. Summon the 8th generation ancient ancestors' weapon, Blood Fiend Halberd. Someone from the MO clan shouted. In an instant, a terrifying beam of blood-colored light shot out, tearing apart the heavens and earth. It was a blood-colored halberd that cleaved down towards the heavens. Summon the weapon of the 19th ancient ancestor, Heaven-piercing spear. A black pike was summoned. It flew into the sky, rushing towards the heavens. These were no ordinary weapons. They were all left behind by the outstanding sovereign personages of the MO clan. They were weapons that the peak experts of their generation loved. Even though they had passed away, their weapons still retained horrifying might. In the heavens above, those people all shivered inwardly. They felt that the human king family's backing was terrifying after all. Streaks of light shot out one after another, interweaving into a destructive net, trying to hunt down the 5 exotic desolate beasts. Little Taoists, you're already dead, yet you still dare to act so impudently towards us. They moved out of the way. At the same time, they reached out their hands to grab the weapons. These weren't ordinary objects. All of them former human king's secret treasures that were worth seizing. However, it was a bit unfortunate. These prehistoric weapons all developed intelligence, so they couldn't immediately seize them. The old bull released a great roar, using sound waves to flip over a blood fiend halberd. Then, the old Tautai opened its mouth, and as it breathed in and out, the halberd was restrained with dark light. You dare! The MO clan roared. They activated the 18 great banners on the ground. This was related to the fate of their clan, activating the Heaven Absolute domain to kill powerful beings. In that instant, the 5 of them were in quite a sorry state. The exotic, desolate race's mountain-protecting domain was extremely astonishing. It was related to the fate of an entire clan, and now that it erupted, it left them a bit alarmed. Not good. That incense is strange. There really are creatures reviving beneath the MO clan. Hurry and leave. The old bull said softly. He sensed a special fluctuation, and with a so sound, he leapt into the void, directly blasting that place apart. A wormhole appeared, and then he disappeared. At the same time, The old Taudai and old Pishio also ran. The expressions of the nine-headed bird and the elder with the green hammer suddenly changed. They immediately flew into the sky and escaped into the earth, disappearing without a trace. Summoning the human king ancestor was effective. There was an indescribable pressure, and when the supreme aura spread out, heaven and earth split apart. It was densely packed, as if porcelain had been shattered. They've escaped. Are we still going to continue summoning the ancestor? Within the MO clan, everyone's mood was a bit downcast. Today, there was almost a clan extermination disaster. It was too shocking. Summoning the human king ancestor came with a price. This time, they were lucky that there was a response from underground. If there were no signs of revival, wouldn't the MO clan be exterminated? They understood clearly that the ancestor had indeed died. The clan had used a secret method and used special mountains and rivers to nurture him. They even plucked an extremely great medicine from the Yang realm, and only then did he show signs of revival. However, each time they summoned him, they would exhaust a portion of that body's essence energy. They might not be able to use it next time. Don't summon him anymore. The gains don't make up for the losses. Let the ancestor continue to sleep, and perhaps there will be a day when he can completely revive. I feel that the ancestor hasn't died. He left behind some last words that he will return one day. Unless it's absolutely necessary, we can't disturb him. Even though they all knew that the one sleeping underground was only a corpse, many people still harbored hope, believing that he might revive in the future. The 5 strange, desolate beasts' retreat triggered a huge uproar in the outside world. The MO clan's foundation is too deep. There's an ancestor sleeping in this world. This is too terrifying. Someone sighed. This matter made everyone in the outside world tremble with fear. The MO clan's strength left everyone apprehensive. I heard that back then, this human king ancestor died in battle. He shouldn't be alive. I really don't know who it was that heavily injured him, causing his life force to be extinguished. The past era was truly terrifying. Just as the outside world was in an uproar, another major incident happened. That organization's people were searching for the MO clan's wandering Empyreans. It was clear that they wanted to hunt them down. They are targeting us again and again. Do they want to exterminate us? The MO clan was both shocked and furious. When this news arrived, it made their blood run cold. The MO clan had an Empyrean wandering outside, not returning for many years. If his traces were found, he would undoubtedly die. That old ox, Taudai, and Paishio weren't good people. They were 3 supreme beings. The MO clan actually had to worry about the safety of their clansmen. Did they have to hide in the ancestral court? They were indignant, burning with rage. Damn, G-Dade, you're even more vicious than me. I only had their sect remove their arrest warrants and compensate me with a large amount of resources, yet you really want to eliminate the roots, seeking revenge for the smallest grievance, insisting on wiping out their Empyrean. Longdayu cried out strangely. Everywhere in the world, people felt that these 2 people, the eldest brother, were both lunatics. MO clan, are you going to compensate me or not? My mental damage, my physical injuries, my youth lost. Longdayu cried out. Everyone was speechless. This strange dragon really was a piece of work. What kind of messy compensation was this? Even youth lost? My cultivation and evolution time has been delayed by you all. This is youth passing away. This is the flow of time. It has been wasted by you all, so you naturally have to compensate. Longdayu cried out. All of you go to hell. MO clan was furious, completely erupting. Wasn't just asking for help. It wasn't like MO clan didn't know people. It wasn't like they didn't have Dao friends. Moreover, their treasury was abundant, with a sea of heavenly treasures. If they took out a portion, they could ask the dark underground organization to hunt down G-Dade and the strange dragon. MO clan increased the bounty, drawing out 100,000 dark devils to search for Longdayu and G-Dade, wishing to kill them. This bounty was much higher than before. When the bounty order was issued again, the situation became more and more chaotic. Who's scared of who? G-Dade also shouted. That day, Old Gu's organization unexpectedly discovered traces of Mo clan's Empyrean. Because he was running, he wanted to run back to Mo clan after receiving the news, but he was instead exposed. When he moved through the void, someone hacked apart the sky dome, directly chasing after him. However, Mo clan wasn't simple. An extreme figure immediately hurried over, rescuing him. However, that day, Mo clan's 2 half-step Empyreans were killed, blood splashing across prehistoric remains in an archaic medicine garden. Crazy, this is a competition of fierceness. Mo clan's losses are disastrous. An uproar broke out in various parts of the Yang realm. Who's scared of who? If you all don't stop, then we'll hunt each other to the end, Chu Feng said fiercely. Chapter 1174. G-Day, just you wait. Today, we will burn the human king primogenitor's blood and definitely find your roots. Let you die without a burial. Mo family was annoyed, releasing vicious words. The entire world was shocked. Just how angry was the Mo family? They were actually going to do this. How precious was that primogenitor's blood? Any drop was enough to move the hearts of the world's top experts. Yet they were actually going to waste a drop like this. Needless to say, this clan was definitely burning the true blood, carrying out deductions, wishing to accurately find G-Dade, and then get rid of him. However, even if that primogenitor left behind a bit of blood and passed it down to this world, the amount would definitely be extremely limited. Did Mo family go crazy? Soon afterwards, everyone realized that this was not only related to Mo family's face, but also a type of intimidation, a type of decisiveness that could cut through the Gordian knot. Today, Mo family lost prestige, losing quite a bit of face. If they couldn't get rid of G-Dade and that strange dragon in the end, everyone would feel that they were nothing more than this. Once this type of consensus was reached, Mo family might be in danger. After all these years, living from prehistoric times to this world, Mo family had experienced all types of great storms. Even though they still stood tall, they had offended too many people. If others felt that they were extremely weak right now, then that would be disastrous. Even if they didn't attack them en masse, there would definitely be people who would provoke them, kick them when they were down. That would be extremely terrible. In the end, there might even be a group of wolves devouring the tiger. That was why they were incomparably decisive in getting rid of G-Dade, ending this farce as soon as possible. Correct, Mo family felt that this was a farce. What qualifications did these 2 brats have to fight against them? They didn't have the qualifications at all. It's over. This farce should come to an end. Scoundrel, brat, I'm going to skin you, boil your human oil, light an everlasting lamp that won't go out for 100 years. Mo family's cold voice sounded, announcing to all places. Right now, Chu Feng didn't pay them any attention, instead talking to Dongqing. Sis Dongqing, long time no see, I missed you. Ever since they separated in Desolate Border, he hadn't seen Dongqing in these years, nor did he have any contact with her. Today, Dongqing contacted Chu Feng through the dark forums, directly saying that she was Dongqing. After verification, it really was her, the 2 of them using the universe brain to communicate. Sister Dongqing, I haven't seen you for a few years, and you've become even more mighty and majestic. On the other side of the cosmic brain, Dongqing's face immediately darkened. He opened his bloody mouth and spoke in a low, muffled voice, warning him to be careful. If they met again, he would definitely spank his, but into 18 pieces. Chu Feng laughed dryly, then hurriedly greeted Dongqing warmly. At this juncture, Dongqing was looking for him because he was worried. He felt that this brat was too good at stirring up trouble. He was simply a troublesome character with endless problems. He was really too good at stirring up trouble. Chu Feng was quite modest, putting on a bashful appearance. He said that he was actually quite low-key, and that it was all because of the Mo family's bullying. All right, don't be cocky. You've already hired the Dark Organization to kill 2 of their half-step celestial venerables. Hurry up and stop and hide. Be careful of a disaster. Dongqing guided him to immediately enter the surroundings of some forbidden areas in the Yang realm. Those areas could hide from heaven's secrets and allow him to avoid calamities. Sister Dong Qing, don't worry about me. I'm very good. Nothing's wrong. How are you guys? All right, if you guys have nothing to do, keep an eye on the desolate border. I'm scared that the MO family will be driven to desperate action and start a massacre, willfully killing the innocent. How about Sister Dong Qing? You use a heaven and earth within sleeves and move that tribe away. Chu Feng mentioned the desolate borders Ji family tribe. After coming to the Yang realm, he lived there for a period of time and had a lot of feelings for it. Even though he asked Old Gu to take action and used his command token to dispatch the organization's powerhouses to the desolate border to guard, he was still a bit worried that the MO family would lose their minds. Don't worry, that is the young Miss Dao field. Once there are any changes, she will sense it and won't allow people to act recklessly. When Chu Feng heard this, his mind was moved. There was a dilapidated temple on the back mountain of the Ji family tribe, suspected to be an ancient ruin. Was it the Dao field of the young miss that Dong Qing followed? But the MO family has a powerhouse. Chu Feng reminded. Who is the young miss? She doesn't fear anyone. Dong Qing was very confident. Chu Feng was secretly astonished. Did that young miss break through again? He knew very well that the Divine Temple Fairy was a reincarnated being. Her true foundation was absolutely terrifying. It seemed that she had undergone another shocking transformation. At this point, Chu Feng was completely relieved. He ended the call and began to respond to the MO family. MO family's bunch of old ghosts. Ji Dade, won't shrink back. Just wait for your deaths. Chu Feng shouted and fiercely resisted. Then, he began to contact an organization, Tonggu. This was a colossus. Not only was it in the leading position in the domain of domain teleportation, but it was also quite powerful in other aspects. It could be said that this organization was a classic black hole with unfathomable depths. No one knew their origins. A conservative estimate would be that they were from the earliest prehistoric era. At the very least, even Old Gu didn't know their ins and outs. He only knew that this organization was very terrifying and difficult to figure out. Why do I feel that it's a bit similar to the Heavenly Express of the Little Netherworld? Are there any connections between the two? Chu Feng mumbled. He had already contacted the Tonggu organization and asked them to open a wormhole to mail the corpse of a half-step celestial venerable that had been killed. Apart from the teleportation business, the Tonggu organization also controlled part of the Yang realm's media, such as the Tonga newspaper. Additionally, they own one of the 4 great authoritative research institutes, the Tonggu Evolution Research Institute, which was on par with the Black Blood Research Institute. The evolution articles published by this research institute were all authoritative and thought-provoking. Of course, there was a certain risk in letting the Tonggu organization mail the corpse of a half-step celestial venerable. The human heart was hard to fathom. What would he do if a creature came to kill Ji Dade? Chu Feng prepared the reincarnation earth and the Blackwood spear. He was ready to attack at any time. There was nothing to say if a creature came along. He would just kill it directly. Fortunately, everything went smoothly and nothing unforeseen happened. After all, he had requested for this business to be carried out openly and had someone notarize it. If the Tonggu organization really broke the rules, their reputation in the Yang realm would be completely ruined. 2 celestial venerables from the MO family had died. One of them didn't even have his bones left. He had been slapped into dregs, his body and soul extinguished. The other corpse was left behind, but it was a bit miserable. He died with his eyes wide open. His name was Mo Lan. When he was traveling outside, he learned of the changes in the clan and personally tracked down Ji Dade's whereabouts. He had never thought that he would be killed in the end. He still wanted to capture Ji Dade and slowly concoct him, torturing him ruthlessly. Who would have thought that he himself would become a corpse? Mo Lan passed away. He died very peacefully. There was no pain when he died, and there was even a smile on his face. Chu Feng stood on a wasteland with his corpse at his feet. He was dawdling there. Old Gu and Dong Dahu followed beside him. The 3 people and 1 corpse appeared on the screen at the same time and were sent out through the universe brain. Just the scene caused the MO family to explode. The entire clan was enraged, and the flames of anger burned the sky of the Yang realm. In this alien desolation clan, every man, woman, old, and young was overflowing with killing intent. Some of the hot-tempered people felt like they were about to explode. Who was Emolan? A half-step celestial venerable had been hunted to death by a dark organization, and now he had actually been reduced to the background. G-Dade stood there, paying his respects. What kind of provocation was this? It was the same as sitting on the Mo family's neck and shitting. The Mo family was seething with resentment. Chapter 1175. He actually took a photo with him and even said those words. The entire Mo family was so angry that their bodies were trembling. In their eyes, G-Dade was stabbing the Mo family's heart. However, Chu Feng didn't care. Since the war had started, it wouldn't end until one side was dead. Why would he show any mercy? Then they would hurt each other. He and Old Goose spent a huge price to invite the underground organization's dark forces to take action and finally kill the half-step celestial venerable. How could they not publicize it? Forget it. I'll help you cremate it. The so-called Mo family powerhouse is just a pile of ashes in the end. They were born lowly and died a disgrace. Sigh. Chu Feng shook his head. Not long after, Chu Feng's bounty skyrocketed, and he became one of the 10 most wanted criminals in the world of the living. The Mo family's resentment was monstrous, and they wouldn't rest until one side was dead. They further increased the bounty on him and raised the price to a shocking level. The 10 most wanted criminals in the world of the living, none of them were ordinary people. The bounty was terrifying. If one could capture one, the rewards would be enough to start a sect. Wasn't Chu Feng afraid? From the bottom of his heart, he was a little worried. The Mo family had gone crazy, putting him on the same level as some notorious but extremely powerful characters. The bounty was shocking, so he had to retaliate. Damn, G-Dade's bounty has increased again. He's ranked 10th in the world. Someone cried out. The Mo family increased the bounty, swearing to take down G-Dade. Moreover, they wanted him alive. If he died, it would be too easy for him. Chu Feng didn't back down and was prepared to fight to the end. The Mo family has gone mad. Then let's continue to provoke them, he said coldly. He burned the Mo family's half-step celestial venerable. Of course, with his strength, he couldn't burn it. In the end, he found a dangerous place. A place called the Green Flame Cave. He threw the half-step celestial venerable in. The green flames burned his bones until they broke, and he turned to ashes. Chu Feng pointed out the country and taunted the Mo family, making many people's faces turn purple. Not long after, Long Dayu appeared. Revenge breeds revenge. When will it end? Can we sit down and talk? If you compensate me for the Mo family, I promise I won't get involved in the mess between you and G-Dade. Long Dayu came out at this time, not knowing if he was looking for a sense of existence or looking for excitement. He was very cocky. You winged lizard, get lost. Don't let us catch you. If we catch you, we'll definitely kill you, and you'll die a horrible death. A young divine king for the Mo family roared angrily. He was truly angered badly. These two brats had left them badly battered, greatly damaging their reputation. This was a great disaster. Long Dayu's face was black, and he flew into a rage. Daring to call him a winged lizard. Was he courting death? Or courting death? He swore that he would fight the Mo family to the death. Old brother, help me hunt down the Mo family's half-step Empyrean and 10 God Kings. I'll fight it out with them. Long Dayu let out a long howl, and for a moment, black mist overflowed into the sky. He spread his wings, and like a demon, he tossed and turned in the sky, circling about. He was extremely angry. Puff! In the end, Mo family's supreme elder coughed out blood. His face was ashen and extremely unsightly. They had failed with a drop of human king primogenitor's blood, unable to determine where G-Dade's true body was. There was nothing they could do. They had already boasted that they would find G-Dade's coordinates and kill him, but now they had failed. How were they supposed to get out of this situation? The Mo family was a foreign, desolate race. a branch of the human king race. But now, their reputation had hit rock bottom. Today was too embarrassing. At this time, G-Dade spoke up again, openly challenging them. Hey, MO family, didn't you want to capture me? Have you used up that drop of ancestral blood? I just hid in a forbidden land to avoid disaster, and it was really dangerous. If you guys are done, I'm going to leave. The MO family's people wanted to vomit blood when they heard this. There was an uproar in the outside world. Everyone discussed spiritedly, feeling that this G-Dade was too despicable. He actually responded like this. Thinking about it carefully, forbidden lands were all special terrains that could hide from heaven's mysteries. He actually hid in a forbidden land, making the MO family waste a drop of ancestral blood. How many drops of ancestral blood do you have? You can't make me run back and forth to a forbidden land, right? G-Dade shouted. This kind of provocation made the MO family's eyes turn red. You are going too far. Even an Empyrean couldn't take it anymore, really wishing to shatter the sky dome with a single slap, find G-Dade, and then directly beat him to death. Meanwhile, there were some people from MO family who really wanted to bring out another drop of human king blood to carry out another deduction. They refused to believe that this shameful ant would always be hiding in the forbidden land. We have to find him, drag him out. If we don't kill him, my heart is going to split into pieces. An elder released a low roar. However, after calming down a bit, no one from MO family used the ancestral blood again. The gains didn't make up for the losses. They couldn't act on impulse. If they failed again, the price would be too great. Chu Feng dared to provoke them, dared to shout out. All of this was because he had the stone container and reincarnation earth on him, able to hide from heaven's mysteries. He didn't fear the so-called ancestral blood as a sacrifice to carry out a deduction. Dong Qing contacted Chu Feng, informing him of a situation. Someone went to Desolate Border to vent their anger, to slaughter G family's tribe. There was an organization that stopped them at the first moment. What? Chu Feng's mind sunk. Fortunately, he had old Gu use his command plate, or else that tribe really would be in danger. They aren't people from MO family, but rather from a prehistoric family, Shi family. Dong Qing informed. When Chu Feng heard this, he immediately thought of Shi Huang, erupting into anger. The reason why there was enmity with MO family at heaven reaching Immortal Waterfall was precisely because of this person. Right now, MO family still hadn't taken action against Desolate Borders tribe, yet Shi family instead ran over to make their presence known, wishing to massacre that tribe. Older sis Dong Qing, get rid of them. Chu Feng's breathing was hurried. Don't worry, not a single one of Shi family's people left. The young miss is angry. That is her above-ground Tao, right? Within the range of her secret realm heavenly country, she definitely won't allow others to act viciously. Dong Qing informed him that Shi family's people all died. Chu Feng was speechless. It seemed like Divine Temple's fairy wasn't someone to be trifled with. Her nature, not soft at all, not soft-hearted at all. When old Gu heard this from his side, he was speechless. After he understood the situation, he was very shocked. The so-called secret realm heavenly country is a Tao right cultivated by true great figures, derived from the flesh. After these kinds of figures die, their secret realm heavenly country will come into contact with the Yang realm and then merge into one. If they successfully reincarnate in defiance of the heavens, they can retrieve it again and refine the secret realm heavenly country for back then. That is the Tao fruit of their past life. When he heard old Gu say this, even Chu Feng was shocked inwardly. Divine Temple's fairy was valiant as expected, even more powerful than he had imagined. One had to bear in mind that even old Gu could be considered a great figure. She was absolutely heaven-defying. After ending the call, Chu Feng was in a daze. Only after a long time did he open his mouth and say to old Gu, "After hearing you say this, I suddenly feel a bit dispirited. There's no meaning in competing with MO family now. When I'm strong enough, I'll directly slaughter my way into MO family." Right now, he was relying on external objects and external powers. He himself was too weak. Let's go. I'm going to cultivate. Next time, I'm going to rely on my own strength to rise up and sweep away all enemies. He felt that it was time to take action. What kind of enemies did Divine Temple's fairy have to face? Reincarnation Hunter. Compared to Divine Temple's fairy and Mo family's human king, he was far too inferior. The waters of this world were too deep. Martial Madman was still alive. He was an overlord from prehistoric times and had long been invincible. And that Li Su, had he really perished? Prehistoric time's death was too strange. He was originally a madman of his generation who controlled the Yang realm, but he suddenly perished in one day. There was also the great evil spirit, the branch path of evolution, and the otherworldly, celestial venerable predator. One terrifying existence after another was unfathomably powerful. Yes, I have to go too. This old man wants to evolve alone. Old Gu want to go on his own. Chapter 1176. Old Gu, have a safe journey. I will miss you. Da Dong patted the old man's shoulder and sent him off with a sorrowful expression. Bah, you big cat, do you know how to speak? Why did old Gu's rebuke sound like he was reminiscing about a dead person? This feeling can be remembered later, but it was already too late. Da Dong shook his head and fell into a strange cycle of thoughts. Old Gu's red lips and white teeth were rudely kicked him and said, Scram, don't talk nonsense. Go find your tigress. Let's part on good terms. Let's have a farewell meal. Chu Feng sighed and personally roasted a pheasant with the bloodline of a wan bird. At the same time, there were several rare fish called purple dragons stewing in a copper cauldron. As for the fine wine, there were more than 10 jars. In this wilderness, adjacent to the mountain range and close to the plains, the three sat facing each other, drinking while discussing the future. The exotic, desolate tiger was an extremely powerful species, but it was nearly extinct in this era. It was difficult to find another one. This species dared to fight against heavenly dragons and even dared to eat them. One could imagine how glorious they were in the past. But in the end, it was a mutation of a white tiger and a black tiger. It was too rare, and its bloodline was unstable, making it difficult for future generations to inherit its bloodline. This was the limitation. Extremely powerful species would only appear once in a while and couldn't last long. The chaotic forest where the exotic desolate tiger resided is only a ruin now. I reckon there aren't even any wild cats left. That place is too dangerous. You must be careful. Old Gu warned. Da Dong nodded. He wanted to go there to see if he could find the supreme secret of the exotic desolate tiger tribe. Chu Feng patted Old Gu's shoulder and said sincerely, Old Gu, where are you going? Don't tell me you're really going to dig up corpses and eat them? It said that if the Nine Nether can eat old corpses from billions of years ago, they can rapidly evolve. But it's better to eat less corpses. Otherwise, when the day comes when you follow me to the peak of evolution and look down on the various civilizations, this will be a stain on your life. Dong Daha nodded and said, That's right, eating corpses that have lived for hundreds of millions of years is too disgusting. At the very least, it should be fresh. Even sashimi is better than it. Old Gu, don't be too hardcore. Hearing their words, Old Gu couldn't even eat the roasted meat anymore. He felt that it had a bad taste, especially when he saw Chu Feng cutting the delicacies one after another. I am a divine evolution, all right? I've already mutated. As a foreign wasteland Dao clan, how could I eat corpses? He refuted with a sunken face. Dong Dahu curled his lips and said, Tisich, forget it. Last time, you ate a serpent race's bloodline fruit and almost turned into a longworm. Is this the alien desolate Dao race? Old Gu wanted to go to some secret territories to find the backup plan he had left behind when he was still alive. He wanted to find the traces left behind by his big brother. He really did not believe that Li Su was truly dead. I really hope that my big brother faked his death and escaped like a cicada slipping out of its shell. When he was drunk, he opened his mouth and was lost in thought. Chu Feng shivered and his heart trembled. Was there such a possibility? If Li Su had faked his death, then something shocking must have happened at that time, forcing him to leave. What kind of frightening situation was it that forced Li Su to retreat? Thinking about it carefully, it was truly terrifying to the extreme. However, Old Gu's face was full of sorrow. He said, "But I know that's impossible. The ending has long been decided." "Nothing is impossible. Think about it again," Chu Feng said. "It's impossible. A long time ago, my big brother came to me and told me to watch his soul lamp. Once it was extinguished, I was to immediately escape." Old Gu's face was full of sorrow. In this world, there was one thing that couldn't be faked, and that was the soul lamp. Even if you were a great hero or a peerless overlord, once you perished, your soul lamp would definitely be extinguished. As long as you still had a sliver of life, your soul lamp would burn. At most, it would dim. Old Gu had seen that soul lamp extinguish with his own eyes. Afterwards, he escaped with the soul lamp and guarded it for 10,000 years. Only then did he fall into a deep slumber until this era. The soul lamp had been extinguished for 10,000 years, and it had always been lifeless. In the end, the lamp directly disintegrated and turned to ashes. This meant that even reincarnation had failed. Never to reincarnate. Old Gu's eyes were scarlet red. He had drunk too much and revealed the secret in his heart. This was a great sorrow. Ah, there's such a saying? How could it be deduced? Dong Dahu was astonished. That's a soul lamp refined with a special secret method. My big brother was worried that there would come a day when his body and Tao would vanish. If he reincarnated, he could use this lamp to find him. In the end, the lamp was destroyed, which means that he would never appear in this world again. Chu Feng said, "Forget it. A dead person is like an extinguished lamp. This is really fitting. Old Gu, don't think too much. In the end, people have to rely on themselves. Don't count on your big brother. In this era, Brother Chu will protect you and let you be the second generation. Go to hell." Old Gu put away his sorrow and glared at him. This little thief was definitely not a good person. Dong Dahu's face turned ugly and said, "Old Gu, why don't we follow you and dig up the various treasures left by your big brother?" Chu Feng shook his head and said, "Forget it. Let's go our separate ways. If there's a chance in the future, we'll meet again and share our fortunes. If we walk together like this, it won't be good if we get wiped out. Moreover, a true expert should tread his own path. If we always place our hopes on all kinds of opportunities and luck, in the end, we'll be like bean sprouts in a greenhouse. Sooner or later, we'll be slapped to death." Old Gu was surprised and said, "You're so bold. From what you're saying, you're going to undergo life and death tempering." Chu Feng nodded resolutely and said, "That's right. I want to go to a place where I'll battle the world with blood. I'm born above dragons and die below insects. When I'm born again, I'll be invincible. Even if the martial madman of my age reappears, I'll beat him until he doesn't have any temper." The other two were speechless. His goal was to suppress the martial madman? How perverted. Don't tell me you're going to practice the 7 deaths method too? Let me tell you, I don't have that kind of method here. You'll die from practicing it. Chu Feng said, "Don't worry. I have my own path and my own Tao. If I want to fight the martial madman to the death, I must first set a small goal for myself. In my youth, I must first cultivate a body that surpasses the ancients and dazzles the contemporaries. Without using pollen or strange fruits, I must polish myself to the extreme and walk the world like a Buddha." It was said that since ancient times, only a few people had been able to walk this path, and there were very few who had managed to do so. Dong Dahu and Old Gu were speechless. This guy was too ambitious. The first thing he said was to fight the martial madman to the death. "You think too much." Old Gu said, "Old Gu, are you looking down on me?" Chu Feng said in all seriousness, "In this world, apart from the martial madman, there's also the great evil spirit. There's also the evolved beings that even your elder brother was afraid of and ultimately led to his death. There's also the transcendent reincarnation hunters, the great Een realm, and the matters beyond the reincarnation path. There's definitely no lack of experts. How can I not set a goal for myself?" "Your goal is a little too big," Old Gu mumbled. "I've already said that I must first set a small goal for myself. Before fighting the martial madman of the same age, I must first become a Buddha that walks the world. Without using pollen or strange fruits, I must cultivate a body that surpasses the ancients and dazzles the contemporaries. Chu Feng raised his voice and said, "The name of this small goal is before fighting the martial madman." Dong Dahu and Old Gu wanted to say, "Chu Kuang too." Chu Feng got up and said, "All right, it's time to hit the road. The place I'm going to is destined to surpass the ancients and dazzle the contemporaries. When we meet again under the real name of Chu Feng, I will sweep away all my enemies in the Yang realm." Chapter 1177. Should I let that organization go into hiding or continue targeting the MO family? Old Gu was at a loss. He had mentioned this question before they parted. Up until now, he hadn't seen through the organization's foundation. He didn't know if something had happened since there was no evidence to speak of. Letting them take action was only to test and observe what this organization was like. But he couldn't see anything from this one attack. The other party was very obedient in carrying out the prehistoric agreement. Dong Dahu said, "What should we do next? It'll be difficult to continue fighting them. Moreover, we can't destroy the MO family in the end." Chu Feng said, "Yes, the MO family is also having a headache. They've suffered a great loss this time, and their prestige has been tarnished. If this goes on, they'll be badly battered and even afraid." This was the truth. They had hunted each other again and again, but in the end, they couldn't do anything to G-Dade. Instead, he had found people to kill 2 half-step celestials. The MO family had suffered the most. This wasn't just the superficial damage. The MO family's invisible golden light had also been torn open. No one had dared to provoke the MO family in the past. Now, people had seen that even a strange dragon and a little brat could break their golden light. Would others still need to be afraid of them? Let the MO family die. Let's fight for a situation where a pack of wolves devours the tiger. Chu Feng said coldly. He felt that there was a need to continue. They could just leave and train on their own, but they could let Old Gu's organization continue to target them. He could also use this opportunity to test the organization's methods and see if they were still leaning towards Old Gu. They chatted as they left the mountainous region and headed towards the wasteland. At the same time, they were using the cosmic brain to understand the situation outside. Yes, someone is pressuring them. Has the MO family joined forces with someone or found a reliable ally? Chu Feng's expression changed. Soon, Old Gu's expression also became gloomy. He had received the organization's feedback and also saw the discussions on the dark forums. The people in the outside world were in an uproar. Some people took action. The MO family pressured the dark world and protested. They questioned those who had stopped them. What were they trying to do by hunting the foreign, desolate races like this? Were they probing them? Were they trying to provoke the entire foreign, desolate race? Following that, an old monkey from the 6-eared macaque bloodline appeared in the wasteland pioneering arena. His magical power reached the heavens and moved the earth. It was absolutely horrifying. That was an old monster rumored to have died many years ago. He had let the dark world know that he had gone overboard this time. Was he going to strangle all the powerful races in the Yang realm? Following this, the prehistoric aristocratic family, Shi Huang's family, also had the old patriarch come out to pressure the dark organizations, telling them that they shouldn't do this. At the same time, a supreme elder of the quasi-saint tribe, a powerhouse with terrifying strength, was invited out of the ancestral land by the MO family to help them. He spoke to the underground forces and asked them to let this matter go. Subsequently, a personal disciple of the martial madman, a terrifying existence that had lived for countless years, the martial senior master of the extreme martial heavenly venerate, also stood up and officially pressured the dark organization. This was not a simple matter. It was said that the martial madman was one of the greatest sources of darkness. Even if his current whereabouts, and whether he was dead or alive, the appearance of his disciple was enough to strike fear into the hearts of everyone. Moreover, not long after, other legendary figures from the foreign desolate race appeared. For example, another human king family supported the MO family. They sent a message to the dark organizations, warning them not to go too far. All of a sudden, a storm was brewing. On this day, the atmosphere of the whole world seemed to have changed. The situation was reversed. Many major powers and terrifying clans stood up to stop the dark organizations. What was going on? Why did the weather change all of a sudden? Chu Feng and the old man were a little dumbfounded. At the same time, their faces turned ashen. They had invited the underground forces to take action, but they were actually being obstructed by others. This group of people was too tyrannical. They didn't touch their interests or provoke them, but in the end, they joined forces to target them? They're going too far. They're too overbearing. They're supporting the MO family together. Are they joining forces to encircle and annihilate us? Dong Dahu said coldly. He also felt very displeased. The old man's expression was unsightly. They didn't say they're going to encircle and annihilate us. They're just pressuring us to cut off our confidence so that the dark organizations won't take action again. Chu Feng frowned. In the end, it's still touching their interests. The old man nodded. He had already figured out the reason for this. Who were they? From the looks of it, they were typical wild cultivators. They didn't have any powerful backgrounds, but this time they had caused a foreign, desolate race to be badly battered. They had caused the human king clan to bleed and lose their prestige. It was too big of a commotion. At first, many powerful races were still watching the show. They even wanted to kick the MO family when they were down, but after thinking about it carefully, they felt a lingering fear. What did this situation look like? It was as if they had opened a forbidden box. They were just two brats, yet they could shake the foreign desolate race by issuing a bounty. What was this? They had broken the interests of the fixed class. This wasn't a good thing. From now on, if everyone imitated them and dared to be as crazy as G-Dade, what would happen to the high and mighty class? How could this class not be afraid? Their situation would be quite bad. Their status would not be guaranteed, and they might even be overthrown. How could this do? They had to cut off everyone's thoughts. They couldn't let these seeds grow and grow. If it really reached an unmanageable stage, it would be the interests of their entire class that would be harmed. Some foreseeable things might happen. For example, if some wild cultivator accidentally discovered an ancient cave dwelling and scattered all the heavenly treasures to invite the dark powers to destroy a certain race. This kind of scene was terrifying just thinking about it. For example, some families might be weak, but if they wanted to go all out and use all their resources to challenge their former enemies, like the foreign desolate race, could it be that everyone would watch and allow such a situation to happen? Some prehistoric families were afraid. Their inherent interests couldn't be overturned, or the consequences would be dire. Of course, they knew that the root of the problem was still the dark organizations. Only by eliminating them could they resolve the true hidden dangers. But now, which orthodoxy dared to rashly start a war? No one was willing to encircle and eliminate the underground dark powers. The gains did not make up for the losses. The slightest carelessness could lead to their own destruction. Not to mention the other races, even the Hung and Buddhist races had to think twice before acting. After all, the source of the darkness was too terrifying. There was already a known source, and all the signs pointed to the martial madman. The tip of the iceberg made one's scalp go numb. Therefore, after the MO family took the initiative to pay a visit and explain the various dangers, many major families in the Yang realm took action to suppress wild G-Dade and the strange dragon. You guys go into hiding and don't make any more moves. Old Goo's face was ashen as he gave the order to his organization. He was very annoyed and angry. Being suppressed by a group of top powers made him feel somewhat stifled and unhappy. Chu Feng said, "In the end, it's still a problem of one's own strength. If I'm strong enough and evolve to the point where all the races are afraid of me, who would dare to stand out? I reckon I'll become one of the dark mountains in their eyes. I can't wait to avoid them, let alone suppress them." This kind of change made everyone feel suffocated. The top powers joined hands, and the foreign desolate races took action. In the end, the dark organizations were forced to declare that they would no longer accept G-Dade's orders. Chu Feng's expression was unsightly. The situation was actually so grim that it felt like dark clouds were pressing down on them. Forget it. We have to go on our own ways and cultivate ourselves. Let them be. We'll go into hiding and evolve. Chu Feng said. The three parted. Before leaving, Chu Feng gave Old Gu and Dong Dahu a small clump of reincarnation earth each for self-protection. That was because some organizations in the Yang realm were too terrifying. For instance, the human king primogenitor's blood might be able to find traces of them. But with the reincarnation earth, there was no need to worry. The other party couldn't find them. We've left behind traces, and their auras have been found by them. That's why they can use the supreme blood to deduce. If they had never found our traces and left no auras, it would be useless even if the ultimate evolvers appeared in this world. Old Gu said and explained the hidden reasons. He was very excited and happy. This was soul flesh, something that even his elder brother couldn't forget. He had actually obtained some. Good brother, you're very kind. Old Gu patted Chu Feng's shoulder. Soon after, he also took out some things that looked like scrap metal and distributed them to Chu Feng and Dong Dao, telling them that they could save their lives. Then the three went on their own ways. While Chu Feng was tempering himself on the edge of life and death, some people in various parts of the Yang realm had already embarked on their own journeys. Someone walked out from a region that resembled a Jiangnan water village. Flowers wilt and water flows on its own. One kind of yearning, two kinds of worries. I come from an aristocratic family of scholars, but I want to cultivate both literature and martial arts. Now, I'm going to fight for a world of fame. This was a handsome youth. He waved his folding fan in a rather romantic and elegant manner. In another place, a silver-haired girl shouted, I want to evolve. I want to become an immortal. Someone looked at her and said, Ing Xiao Xiao, what nonsense are you shouting for? The sixth generation of the Yang realm, the Zhou clan. Young lady, she walked gracefully. She had come out of seclusion and wanted to take a stroll in the outside world. In another territory, there were countless mountains and dense primitive forests. Flying serpents hid themselves, and flood dragons soared into the sky. It was a terrifying scene. We're going out of the mountains. What prehistoric aristocratic family? What supreme orthodoxy? We'll hunt them all down. Chapter 1178. Chu Feng walked on a desolate plain with no signs of human habitation for hundreds of thousands of miles. He didn't immediately use the teleportation domain to travel far away and instead advanced on foot. He was thinking about how to quickly reach the peak in the future. He had 3 seeds that he hadn't had the time to use after coming to the world of the living. This would be the foundation for his rise. However, it wasn't advisable to use the pollen just yet. He couldn't eat mutant fruits before refining his body into the most powerful state. Yes, I can't keep the Granny Meng soup. This kind of substance of fortune is used to increase one's potential. I still have a lot on me and should use them all to transform my body and soul to become stronger. Chu Feng muttered to himself as he tried to think of ways to improve his constitution and accumulate his potential. Granny Meng's soup. This kind of juice of fortune was very suitable and wouldn't have any side effects. He had already drunk a lot of it in the desolate border. It might not directly increase his strength, but could make his inner body more perfect and establish the most terrifying foundation. Everyone's potential had a limit. He was now at the inner foundation building realm and could pull this so-called limit to an even more distant place. Gulp! The sparkling juice poured into his mouth and emitted a brilliant radiance. It illuminated Chu Feng's entire body until it was translucent and sparkling. All the cells in his body were activated. His metabolism was speeding up. He might not be able to feel the hidden injuries left behind in the past and needed time to slowly recover. But now, they were healed in an instant. Last time, he had risked his life to fight for the bloodline fruit. He had suffered serious injuries while facing the 7 Deaths method and the Divine King who had obtained Li Su's inheritance. Not simple at all. Those two creatures left some hidden injuries in me. I wouldn't have noticed if I hadn't drunk a lot of Granny Meng's soup today. I might need several months to get rid of the hidden injuries naturally. He was amazed. This also made him cautious. In the future, he would have to be even more cautious when facing people from the martial madman's lineage and evolvers who had obtained Li Su's inheritance. Last time, he had obtained 8 bowls of Granny Meng's soup at the sky-piercing waterfall. He had given 5 to Old Gu and Dong Dahu and kept 3 for himself. After drinking a bowl, Chu Feng had an endless aftertaste. This juice of fortune made him feel refreshed and refreshed. Even his soul light was emitting auspicious clouds, and his corporeal body was blossoming with feather-like splendor. It was as if he was going to sprout wings and ascend to heaven. With a rumble, the strength of his corporeal body strengthened. This was an immediate effect, and his soul light also became thicker. On a desolate plateau, Chu Feng found a stone mountain and carved out a cave for himself. He sat cross-legged inside and sensed the changes in his body. My mental strength has increased by a notch, and my body is tougher than before. Even my bones have changed. My bone marrow is like jade, so sparkling and translucent. Needless to say, after his potential increased, there were all kinds of changes and performances. Another bowl. Chu Feng clenched his teeth and gulped down another bowl. Then his entire body was covered in a dazzling blue light. Moreover, at this moment, the hair on his head grew explosively, turning into an azure color. This was the activation of the human monarch blood, the embodiment of one's potential eruption. Normally, his blood was red, and the blue blood wouldn't show. Moreover, his hair was jet black, and he was no different from a normal person. This would only happen when he was suddenly stimulated when he was intensely improving his condition. After he drank Granny Meng's soup today, the potential in his body surged violently. It was too intense, and he couldn't conceal his true condition. His human monarch blood automatically erupted. As a result, he was incomparably powerful at this moment, far surpassing his normal state. Chu Feng was astonished. The juice of fortune like Granny Meng's soup was really a heaven-defying good thing. He felt that his strength had increased by around 50%. This kind of real feeling, which was close to being digitized, made him stronger. In the past, he couldn't reach this level even when he was in the human monarch realm. Now, it actually increased by 50%. How astonishing was this? In a situation where there was no change in his realm, and he hadn't stepped into the quasi-saint state, he was still in the golden body domain. How could his strength not increase like this be astonishing? The thickness of one's potential also causes one's battle prowess to soar. Chu Feng sighed. Moreover, at this moment, he discovered that there was a change in his blood. Within the azure color, there were wisps of golden color. The color of the blood of a second-stage human monarch is golden? His expression changed slightly. The next step will be golden blood? That was a second-stage human monarch. He was rather astonished. The blood of a human monarch was originally blue. Not long ago, he had swallowed the bloodline fruit. Old Gu had once told him that the blood of a human monarch would change again and turn into other colors. Now, there was finally a change. A human monarch with golden blood. A wisp of golden light appeared in Chu Feng's azure hair as he spoke, and his eyes were also suffused with a golden glow. His aura increased sharply, and his strength became stronger. The astonishing change had begun, and he was very hopeful. There's still one more jar. I might as well drink it as well. Chu Feng clenched his teeth and prepared to let his potential reach its strongest level. However, he was also slightly worried. This thing couldn't be drunk casually. If one drank too much of the so-called Granny Meng's soup, it could erase one's past life's memories. It was fine for others, but how many of them had past lives? In this world, there weren't many people who could go through reincarnation with memories. But now, his blood of a human monarch was transforming, and he needed to drink more Granny Meng's soup. It's not like I haven't drunk it before. I've already drunk the few jars I swindled from Old Gu. The amount isn't small, and it's not a big deal. I should be immune. With that said, Chu Feng drank a third of the soup with a gulp and waited for the effect. He was still very careful after all. It was better to be safe than sorry. Rumble. His potential surged, and the activity of his cells became extremely terrifying. There was even more golden light in his blood, and part of his hair had also become long golden hair. This isn't good. The memories of my past life are actually blurring. It's as if I've been stabbed. Chu Feng's expression changed. He rapidly took out the stone jar and began to inscribe scriptures like jade. Then, he quickly put it away. These were incomparably important scriptures and wondrous techniques. He was afraid he would completely forget them. Next, he hurriedly took out the universe brain and contacted others. Old Goo, come quickly. I can't hold on any longer. Brother Tiger, turn back quickly and protect me. He called out to these two. They had just parted, so they shouldn't have gone far. Little thief, don't tell me you're fooling me to go back. Brother, what's wrong? We just parted, don't scare me. Chu Feng said anxiously, come quickly. My blood is boiling. This Granny Ming's soup is too powerful. I might forget the past. Whoosh whoosh. The two of them set off on their return journey and rushed toward Chu Feng's coordinates with extreme speed. Very soon, they arrived and found Chu Feng. His whole body was blossoming with multicolored light like fluttering feathers. It was a bit similar to the legendary flying immortals. What's going on? Old Goo and Dong Dahu were a bit dumbfounded. They had only parted for a short while, but something had actually happened to Chu Feng. I'm breaking through. My humanoid king bloodline might become humanoid emperor bloodline, Chu Feng said while clenching his teeth. Now, his whole body was surrounded by hot air and energy. His eyes had turned golden like the edge of a blade. Let me see, it's actually golden blood. You have transformed into an extraordinary bloodline. The old eccentric cried out. He had once heard rumors that even though there were several variant desolate human kings, it was said that the golden blood was the most respected. Chu Feng had actually transformed into this kind of blood, and this was only his second stage. What kind of state would he evolve into in the future? Chapter 1179. I'm ashamed to be associated with the Mo family, so I have to transcend the limits of the humanoid monarch bloodline. Chu Feng said. Old Goo said, don't be cocky. Your state is very unstable. You haven't truly transformed. It's just the initial transformation, and some of your blood has turned golden. To be precise, Chu Feng had crossed a crucial stage and had peaked into the second stage of the humanoid monarch path. He hadn't eaten the bloodline fruit for nothing last time. Now that he had increased his potential like this, everything had been triggered. Humanoid monarch bloodline. You really dare to say that, Dong Da mumbled. These are all small matters. The key is that my memory is blurry now. I'm afraid I'll forget everything else. Chu Feng said in a low voice. He sat cross-legged and tried his best to recall the past. He thought about everything in the lesser Een realm, wanting to engrave it in his mind. He was afraid that he would really forget everything. How much Granny Ming's soup did you drink? Old Goo asked. He then looked behind Chu Feng and felt a little dizzy. 2 jars were empty. The other one was already opened. Old Goo sighed so much. You're courting death. Why did you drink it all at once? As a reincarnator, you'll probably be beaten back to your original form and forget the past. He had never seen such a big heart. Did he really think that Granny Ming's soup was syrup? History had already taught them a deep lesson for such a greedy creature. Chu Feng said, didn't I drink it before? It wasn't a small amount, and nothing happened. Also, I want to add some fuel to the fire of the humanoid monarch's transformation this time. Old Goo's face darkened. Those you drank before were all mine. You cheated me of so many jars. Many things have become blurry in my heart, but there's still a hazy outline. However, it lacks a kind of depth, a kind of unforgettable emotion. Chu Feng muttered to himself. This was his true understanding. He hadn't completely forgotten, but when he replayed some things, it was like watching someone else's tragedy. He was like a passerby, standing there. Brother Tiger, remember my past life. Remember my enemies. Remember them all. Don't forget my family and friends. Remind me when the time comes. I want to continue drinking Granny Meng's soup. Chu Feng made up his mind and grabbed another jar. Dong Dahu was shocked and said, "You're crazy. You're about to forget the past. If you continue like this, you'll have to say goodbye to your past life." Chu Feng gritted his teeth and said, "This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. It has been such a long time since I came to the Yang realm from the Lesser Nether realm. Yet my king's blood has never transformed. You can imagine how difficult it is. Now that an opportunity has finally appeared, I naturally have to speed up this process." Old Goose sighed and said, "You are too impatient. Why don't you think about what kind of bloodline this is? How old are you?" Normally speaking, a sovereign personage's bloodline would take decades, centuries, or even millennia to undergo a metamorphosis. Apart from the old man Wang Xingming's help, it's impossible for a teenager to transform. You've already started now, so what's there to be dissatisfied about? Chu Feng said, "I want to be stronger. I don't want to just have a glimpse of the golden bloodline. I want this bloodline to mature and go further. Don't worry, it won't be too late to find other opportunities in the future." Old Gu advised, "No, I don't have that much time. Let's begin. Brother Tiger, help me remember my past, my friends, my emotions. Brother, don't be so desperate. We still have time." Dong Dahu was anxious. "There's no time. I want to quickly rise up. I must grasp this opportunity. From now on, you're responsible for helping me remember the past. I will be responsible for taking revenge and killing my enemies." Chu Feng gritted his teeth and said. Dong Dahu was on the verge of tears. He knew that Chu Feng was paying the price. A person's emotions towards the past would fade due to the blurring of memories. Many things that resonated with kinship, friendship, and love might no longer exist. "Help me remember. I might be able to remember again in the future." Chu Feng was incomparably resolute. In truth, he was also worried and reluctant, but he believed that as long as he became stronger, he would be able to reverse the loss. Chu Feng drank the last pot of Granny Meng's soup. With a boom, his entire body seemed to be on fire, dazzling with golden light. The golden blood in his body was boiling. Without a doubt, he had become stronger again, and his constitution was improving. Most of his blood was still azure, but a small portion had already transformed into golden blood. "Old Gu, lend me a pot of Granny Meng's soup." Chu Feng stretched out his hand, wanting to continue. "You're crazy, drinking so much. I reckon I'll cut off everything in this life of yours. You won't remember anything." Old Gu was very serious. Chu Feng said, "It's fine. I haven't completely forgotten the matters of my previous life. They're still in my heart." Old Gu's expression was solemn. He took out a pot of Granny Meng's soup, and after a slight hesitation, he finally handed it to him. Chu Feng drank half a pot in one gulp and waited for his body to change. However, the golden blood in his body no longer increased, and the activity of his cells did not increase. How can this be?" He was astonished. Old Gu felt his pulse, and in the end he was speechless. This little thief had been drinking Granny Meng's soup since he was young, and now he was completely saturated and immune to it. Any heavenly material or earthly treasure, even the most powerful medicine, would lose its medicinal effect if taken frequently. All living things had a resistance to it. "You're really deranged. Drinking Granny Meng's soup to this extent, there's no one else like you. Only those youths from top-notch orthodoxies would dare to squander it like this." Old Gu sighed lightly. Chu Feng didn't believe it. Gulp, gulp, gulp. He gulped down the remaining half of the can. "This is shameful waste." Old Gu was extremely distressed. As expected, there were no changes to Chu Feng's body, and he still maintained his previous state. The changes had already reached the peak. At this time, a small half of his golden blood and the other half of his blue blood were mixed together, and it was somewhat astonishing. "Brother, how are you?" Dong Dahu asked nervously. "My memories are becoming increasingly dim, and I can only recall some vague past events," Chu Feng said. This wasn't the worst situation, but it wasn't very good either. Dong Dahu began to help him recall, telling him about the events of the past and everything about the serene realm. Chu Feng was silent, because he felt like he was listening to someone else's story, and there weren't many fluctuations in his thoughts. Dong Dahu said, "Your current state isn't good," a bit like Qin Luoyin. When she remembered the prehistoric events, she became somewhat apathetic and let go of everything in the serene realm. Chu Feng pondered for a moment, and then nodded. "I understand her now. There isn't much resonance or deep feelings with this world, so she let go. If we continue to be entangled, it won't be good for either of us. I've also let go of those things, and everything will start anew. If fate wills it, I'll meet her again." "You?" Dong Dahu was shocked. Chu Feng said, "This is also good. I've let go of some things, and my whole body feels relaxed. After walking on the path of evolution, my speed will be even faster, and I will surpass all those before me. I want to start running on the path of evolution." Old Goose sighed with emotion. It said that the strong are emotionless, and the supreme are unmoved. Sure enough, it's not just for show. Let go of some entanglements, sever some karma, and only then will one be able to walk further and become stronger. It makes some sense. He looked at Chu Feng with a complicated expression. This youth had actually unwittingly entered such a state. Such a state of mind and comprehension wasn't something ordinary people could achieve. However, Chu Feng frowned and said, "After hearing what you said, I feel that this path isn't right. Most people think that the path of evolution is feasible, but perhaps it's wrong. Just like most people, it's difficult to achieve anything great, because the ultimate experts are lonely, and they should have their own path. I will think of a way to recover everything of the past, and all those emotions and resonance will come back. Brother, don't forget about us. You have to come back." Dong Dahu's eyes were brimming with tears. "I don't have the qualifications to think so much right now. Right now, I only want to become stronger, but one day, I will return to perfection." Chu Feng's expression was solemn. Old Goose said, "Yes, there's a legend that those who drink Granny Meng's soup will suppress all emotions, forget their past lives, and cut off their past. They will start a new life. However, when he becomes powerful to a certain extent one day, everything that has been buried will erupt like a volcano eruption, and he will remember the things of the past." "That couldn't be better." Chu Feng nodded. He cultivated here for more than 10 days, and on a certain morning, he bid farewell to Dong Dahu and Old Gu and left first. With a bang, he turned into a resplendent blue ball of light that also contained a golden radiance. His blood energy surged as he quickly flew into the distance and disappeared into the horizon. Chu Feng was on his way. He wanted to step onto his own path and bid farewell to this period of time. In this life, it was as if he had been reborn, and he had let go of many things in his heart. He thought back to everything Dong Dahu had told him about the serene realm. The more he thought about it, the more he felt as if he was comprehending another person's life. Could it be that I have to start my life anew? So thoroughly reborn. No, I haven't forgotten my parents, relatives, and friends. They have turned into an even deeper obsession. In my heart, what I want to do now is to become stronger and reach the peak." On this day, Chu Feng crossed the provinces and left this large province. He was hurrying toward an extremely dangerous region. Chapter 1180. Chu Feng left this prefecture and rushed towards the most turbulent place in the Yang realm. He wanted to temper himself there and gain enlightenment amidst life and death. That was the three-way battlefield. At present, many elites and young disciples from various sects had thrown themselves there to fight for supremacy on the largest battlefield in the Yang realm. Growing up amidst blood and fire and gaining enlightenment amidst life and death battles, some large clans had enough. They threw some of their direct descendants there. If they died, then they died. Only the ones who survived would be the true ones. Otherwise, those who died could only be considered trash. Chu Feng had long known about this situation. He had heard of the several gatherings. Even Emperor Rock, Li Jiuxiao, Ji Kaixian, and the first descendant of the Hung race had gone. In addition, he also knew that some disciples of the great martial Empyrean had entered the battlefield. Back then, Chu Feng had rushed to Qing Prefecture to kill all the core disciples of the great martial lineage. In the end, he had barged into Minghu Immortal Cave. Although he had obtained some gains and killed a few people, the strongest youth, Zhong Xiu, wasn't there. He had already set off for the three-way battlefield. Going there wasn't just to break through and compete in bravery. There were other things worth looking forward to. Once one made contributions there, they would be personally bestowed opportunities by an Empyrean. There would even be mighty figures who would bestow them with evolutionary notes. That was the crystallization of their life's blood, sweat, and tears. It was a summary of their evolutionary path. It was priceless. There are some things I'm not sure about, but I'm guessing that there must be great benefits there. Otherwise, they wouldn't have swarmed there. Aren't they afraid of being killed there? Chu Feng muttered to himself. Now, three overlords stood on equal footing. The Eastern Harmony Prefecture, the Western He Prefecture, and the Southern Zhan Prefecture all had supreme experts presiding over them. They wanted to unify the Yang realm. As for the Western He Prefecture and the Southern Zhan Prefecture, no one knew how strong the overlords of those two places were. It was very difficult to find out the situation. However, from the fact that the Buddhist and Hung race had responded and supported the two overlords, it was clear how powerful they were. One had to know that the Hung race was almost the strongest race in the Yang realm. They had a deep foundation and experts like trees in a forest. They had experts who could see the ultimate path of evolution. Even they supported the one from Zhanzhou in the south, which had already foreshadowed everything. In addition, it was perhaps possible to quantify the strength of the overlord of Harmony Province, because he had once controlled 1/20th of the vast territory of the Yang realm. This meant that he had once swept through 1/20th of the untainted land, and no one could resist him. In the prehistoric era, Old Gu's elder brother had once unified 1/10th of the Yang realm's territory. However, they couldn't be compared like this. After all, Old Gu's older brother died young and suddenly, so he didn't have the time to push things down. Otherwise, with his domineering personality, how could he possibly stop his unified footwork and not continue his conquest of the Yang realm when even the invincible martial madman was beaten to a pulp by him back then? Everything happened because of an unforeseen event. Of course, that person in Yongzhou also had an accident in the distant past. After he unified 1/20th of the Yang realm's territory, there was an indescribable chaotic lightning that descended from the sky and attacked him, turning him into charcoal. Back then, many people said that he died, destroyed by the most powerful lightning tribulation. However, he appeared again in this life, and he returned alive in an even stronger state. He still wanted to unify the Yang realm. From the glorious achievements of this overlord of Harmony Province, the two from West He Province and South Zhanzhou were definitely not weaker than him. Otherwise, why would they dare to compete? Now, after these three people established their foundations, the great Tao artifacts that had once appeared in the sky were almost about to merge with them. The chaotic truncheon, myriad tribulations mirror, and reincarnation lamp were each in their hands. When one of them truly unified the Yang realm, the three artifacts would merge into one, fusing into a truly powerful great Tao artifact, returning to perfection. And once this happened, the true ultimate evolver of the Yang realm would appear. Whoever could unify the Yang realm would be able to walk to the end of the path of evolution. As a result, the current three-way battlefield was locked in a fierce battle, becoming a turbulent place in the Yang realm. Three people competing for the ultimate evolver position. Chu Feng revealed a cold smile. He didn't believe it. No matter how he looked at it, it seemed like there was some big conspiracy behind it. Unfortunately, he wasn't strong enough and had no way to guess the mentality of the players. However, he knew that there was still the great Yin realm outside the Yang realm and other evolutionary civilizations. The life he was in was just one of the evolutionary paths. At the very least, he had seen the glory of the great evil spirit. It came from the heavenly waterfall and was suspected to be from the celestial race. It might have come from another evolutionary civilization. In addition, transcending the world, there was the reincarnation path, the celestial venerable hunter, and so on. Only God knew how deep the waters were. Even if he didn't think so far, there was still the martial madman eyeing him covetously. If he knew there were such great benefits, why didn't he participate? This was definitely a terrifying overlord. His glory didn't need anyone to sing praises. Back then, Li Su, who could keep him in check, had died. Since then, he had simply lost a natural enemy. Rise in ruin, recover in nirvana. I came from the broken lesser-een realm, broke through the reincarnation deathland, and want to rise in the yang realm. Chu Feng swore that no matter what conspiracy or game they had, when he was strong enough, he would flip the table and start his own business. For now, I'll let you be domineering and treat us like ants and pawns. We'll deal with you sooner or later. He cheered himself on. Of course, he felt a little guilty. After all, he was like an ant looking up to a giant dragon. The gap was a little big. I have a stone jar. I don't believe it. It's not weaker than your chaotic swordbreaker and reincarnation lamp. In addition, I have the ultimate evolution scripture. If I want to cultivate it, I need to go to that battlefield. He had once gone to the ancient Dream Path ruins and opened a secret realm with the reincarnation soil. Not only did he see the martial madman's domineering posture, but he also obtained a special scripture page there. He had comprehended a fifth seal from it. According to the old man, he needed the blood of 10,000 spirits as a primer to promote his cultivation of this scripture. This was because every time Chu Feng practiced the ultimate fist, apart from a layer of golden light, there would also be a bloody light outside his body. It was especially sensitive to the blood of 10,000 spirits and could absorb the fragments of Tao patterns naturally contained in the blood of various races. I'm coming. That day, he used the transportation domain to cross countless states and rush to the three-way battlefield, the Summer State. The Summer State was located in the central region of the world of the living. It was one of the most central states. The three-way struggle for supremacy had changed battlefields several times before finally choosing this central region. The most famous mountain in the world was in the Summer State. Number 9, who looked exactly like Li Su's master, was in the secret realm where the first mountain was located. Number 9 loves to eat bloody thighs. If it's a moment of life and death, can I trick him into coming out to feast on him? I can't have such thoughts. If others reason with me, there's no need to ask Number 9 to come out. I still have to rely on myself. Only when I'm strong enough can I be truly strong. I don't need to rely on external objects or outsiders. In reality, he could only comfort himself. Even if he wanted to ask Number 9, he probably wouldn't come out. If he wanted to come out, why would he wait until this life? It's terrifying to think about it. Whose territory is behind Number 4 and Number 9? What's their background? Back then, Number 4 taught Li Su, and he almost overturned the world. Why is it that the more I think about it, the more my hair stands on end? Chu Feng mumbled. He was already standing on the land of the Summer State. Now, in his heart, all the memories of the lesser netherworld had dimmed, but they hadn't disappeared. It was just that some people and some things weren't so clear anymore. Many of the touching and resonating feelings were sealed in his subconscious. This was the after effect of Granny Meng's soup. In fact, it was far better than he had imagined. At least he hadn't completely lost all his memories. The three-way battlefield was infinitely far away from the first mountain in the world of the living. They didn't even approach it, as if they were deliberately isolating it. When Chu Feng arrived, he saw the camp from afar. He saw tents after tents densely packed together, stretching as far as the eye could see. And in some areas, in some tents, blood chi surged into the sky. It was so terrifying that it was enough to intimidate one side. Don't look anymore. That's the Divine King area. Once ordinary evolvers get close, their bodies will crack. They can't withstand it at all. In this battlefield area, they don't even need to conceal themselves. The strong are respected. Someone said, like Chu Feng, He was also considered a newcomer who had come to serve in the battlefield. He could see that many people were appearing and rushing over in succession. This area belonged to the Yongzhou camp, and Chu Feng was currently preparing to serve the camp of the overlord of Yongzhou. There was freedom here. After a period of time on the battlefield, he could leave if he wanted to, and no one would care. There's a fellow from the Tiango race. His nose is too sensitive. This time on the battlefield, he smelled something ineffable and changed the situation of the battle. As a result, he made a great contribution and received the strongest pollen as a reward with a few others. In the distance, someone cried out in surprise, and the camp was in an uproar. Chu Feng was surprised. No wonder so many people were willing to serve here. Those who were confident could come here to hone themselves, and others could also receive generous rewards. The so-called strongest pollen referred to the best catalyst of a certain realm. If one used that kind of pollen to evolve, they could reach the strongest state and achieve a super evolution. The journal under the Black Blood Research Institute had once published such an article, summarizing the paths taken by the strongest group of people in history and the pollen they had used. Using data analysis, they had divided the range of the strongest pollen. Haha, I survived this time and obtained a high-level divine monarch scripture. Brothers, I'm going back home to chase after our province's saintess Zhuoxiu and enjoy a peaceful life for a period of time. I might not come back. Goodbye. Someone laughed heartily and disappeared from a teleportation platform. An old soldier curled his lips and said, "The battlefield is like this. Those who can survive will naturally earn a lot, and those who are alive will naturally indulge and enjoy themselves. Who knows, they might come back after a period of time." Chu Feng was surprised. Many of these people who came back from the battlefield would choose to indulge in debauchery. This kind of life was really indulgent. However, he also knew that this was mostly to eliminate the fear of life and death, so that they could relax appropriately. At the same time, Chu Feng was also a little worried and said, "What if a celestial venerable appears and slaps everyone on the battlefield to death with one slap? Wouldn't that be too unjust?" What are you thinking about? The three parties are in check and balance. They have long since agreed to not let a celestial venerable make a move like that. In fact, under normal circumstances, celestial venerables wouldn't appear in other places of the Yang realm and casually make a move. Chu Feng really wanted to say, "Damn, why isn't there one? The MO families and Sure families, celestial venerables want to slap me to death." I heard that there was a God-rank evolver who directly made a great contribution and was bestowed with 3 strongest mutant fruits that can help him evolve into the divine monarch domain. When will I be able to make such a contribution? I heard that guy directly took out one of the strongest mutant fruits to chase after fairy rosy clouds. Beast! Chu Feng was speechless when he heard this. After a long time, he asked, "Is there no one on the battlefield? Are there no people from the military law office patrolling? Don't compare this place with a mortal army. If you can make a contribution and think you're worthy, it won't be a problem even if you chase after the Hung race, Buddhist race, or G race's fairies. No one will care." "Who is that?" "Fairy, stop for a moment." Chu Feng shouted. He saw an absolutely beautiful figure flying across the sky like a fairy from the 9 heavens descending to the mortal world. Her posture was elegant, and she went far away. Just now, great waves arose in his heart. He felt a familiar aura, like an old friend. Moreover, this was a woman who had gone through reincarnation. She had that kind of smell. Narrowing down the scope like this, it seemed that she was the only one. "I say, brother, you haven't made a contribution yet, and you want to chase after a woman as soon as you come? If I'm not wrong, that's a fairy that many big shots are polite to. She's high and mighty, so don't count on her." Someone hit back. Chapter 1181. How am I high and mighty? She's my wife. Chu Feng whispered. In truth, he really wanted to rush over and take a closer look, but he restrained himself in the end. He might be slapped to death if he went too far, especially by such a stunning woman. "Brother, what did you just say?" The old soldier picked his ears in disbelief. Nothing. I just want to know who that woman is, and what's her name? Chu Feng asked. Her background is mysterious. Her name is Qingyin. The old soldier sighed. After that, he patted his shoulder and said, Don't count on it. It's said that even a divine king fell into a daze after seeing her appearance. She can be said to be an outstanding beauty. If the beauty rankings were to be updated, she would probably directly kill her way to the top. After hearing this name, Chu Feng had an idea. It was probably that person, Qin Luoyin, once the #1 beauty in the Yang realm. Back then, her name was Qing Shi. He had never imagined that he would meet her on the first day he came to the three-way battlefield. He didn't know when they would meet again, but by then, things would be the same, but people would be different. Today was too sudden. Back then, Qing Shi had fought a bloody battle in the ancient dream path, but in the end, she died in the hands of the martial madman. However, the ultimate expert of the sect protected a wisp of her spirit and sealed it with a secret treasure, allowing her to reincarnate after a long time. However, she reincarnated in the Lesser Yin realm and became Qin Luoyin's remnant soul. Only when Chu Feng came to the Yang realm and reopened the ancient dream path with the reincarnation earth did Qing Shi's remnant soul fly away and merge with the current reincarnated person. One didn't need to think to know that she was now more inclined toward her prehistoric identity. In truth, when she reincarnated in the Yang realm, she had already awakened most of Fairy Qing Shi's memories and learned of her roots. At that time, she had told Black Yak, Yellow Cattle, Old Donkey, and the others that the past had gone with time. In this life, she was no longer Qin Luoyin. It couldn't be said that she was cold and heartless, nor could it be said that she was decisive. It was because after remembering Qing Shi's identity, everything changed. How old was Qin Luoyin? She was just a young and vigorous girl in her 20s. But what about Fairy Qing Shi? In prehistoric times, he had once been a celestial lord. There was no need to think about it. Although she was known to have shocking talent, she must have spent a long time to reach that stage. It was impossible for anyone to become an Empyrean in their teenage years. This also meant that Qing Shi had experienced too many things while Qin Luoyin's limited life was too thin. It was like a blank piece of paper. Therefore, once she awakened and remembered her past life, she would definitely take Qing Shi as her master. The memory of the little netherworld was still there, but Chu Feng lacked some touching and resonance, so he did not experience the feeling of loss and regret today. But one day, when he was strong enough to remove the side effects of the soup of Ming Po, perhaps his mood would be different. Despite this being the case, he still frowned, saying to himself, Who knows, her memories of the old Gu might even be deeper than mine. After all, the two of them had fought before, living in the same era for many years. In an instant, Chu Feng was displeased, and he said, Old Gu, you old bastard, you've never given up on your evil intentions and can't forget them. If you let him know that Fairy Qing Shi's impression of you is even deeper than mine, wouldn't his mouth be crooked from smiling? This won't do. When I see the old Gu again, I'll smack the back of his head with a brick. If old Gu were to find out that he had become the target of Chu Feng's schemes, he would definitely stomp his feet in anger and insist on sneaking up on Chu Feng. Achoo! Who's talking about me? In a certain ruin, the old Gu sneezed as he walked. He was fairly confident in his keen senses. Don't tell me it's Ji Dade scolding me. No one knows that I've lived until now. As for Dong Dahu, I don't have any conflicts with him. Ji Dade, you little thief, what bad ideas are you harboring? Brother, wake up. Stop daydreaming. Someone was waving a hand in front of Chu Feng. He laughed dryly and quickly came back to his senses. However, he still shot a glance at the figure in the horizon. That woman was about to disappear. What a nice figure. Curvaceous and alluring, yet holy and flawless. Long legs, small waist. Chu Feng shook his head and commented to cover up his loss of composure. Chill, lower your voice. Do you want to die? A group of divine kings are staring at you. Don't let your imagination run wild. The veteran beside him reminded him. Am I not giving an honest evaluation? Chu Feng mumbled. In truth, he was deeply surprised. Qingyin was even more elegant than she was in her previous life. Every movement of hers had a breathtaking elegance. Even when she flew over so gracefully, she was like a flying immortal with peerless grace. Unfortunately, he didn't see her true appearance. However, he guessed that if she inherited the charm of the Yang realm's #1 beauty, there would be no need to doubt her charm. Chu Feng was led by the veteran and went through a simple and crude registration. He officially became a small soldier on the side of the Yongzhou overlord. There were countless tents and tents. There were simply too many people in the camp. The veteran led him and briefed him on the situation. For example, he couldn't barge into the area where the divine kings rested. Otherwise, even if no one took care of him, he would be corroded by the terrifying blood energy there, and his body would collapse. In addition, it was best not to approach the place where the saints lived. If there was a conflict, he would definitely be the one to suffer. The veteran informed him of the situation in a serious tone. If we go to the battlefield, will we be cannon fodder? Chu Feng asked with a frown. He was here to train, not to die. However, there were countless tents in the Divine King's place not far away. He didn't know how many Divine Kings there were. If they went to the battlefield and they were all at this level, what was the point of fighting? Wouldn't the new recruits be courting death? A single palm from a Divine King could probably kill more than half of them. Don't worry, that won't happen. If we really need a high-level Divine King to kill a small soldier and a top-notch character disregarding his status, the current three-way battlefield isn't like this. What's the point of dispatching Divine Kings? We might as well let the overlords of the three sides come personally. So what if a celestial venerable comes? They'll be killed all the same. The veteran smiled and explained for him. If it really came to that, the confrontation between the armies would be completely meaningless. The three overlords who were determined to unify the Yang realm could just fight among themselves. Some divine kings revealed that the three overlords are currently wary of each other. If they were to fight each other, they wouldn't have any confidence in winning. So, they've all chosen to quietly go into seclusion and won't come personally. The balance won't be broken in the short term. It was rumored that after the three overlords discussed, in order to protect the living forces of the Yang realm and prevent low-level cultivators from being inadvertently killed by top-notch powerhouses, they set up a rule that prohibited high-level cultivators from killing low-level evolvers in an obvious targeted manner. When Chu Feng heard this, he was deeply surprised. They could even do this? He felt that it wasn't cruel enough. They were going to conquer the world, yet they still had to be so restrained. Sai, the people above are playing a very big game of chess. There's a rumor that if all the evolvers below are killed, even the three overlords will become the sinners of the Yang realm, the veteran said mysteriously. The seasoned soldier said mysteriously. He had also heard this from others. To hell with a big game of chess. If it's up to me, I reckon they're all lousy chess players. Chu Feng said. Although he said this, he was shocked and had some guesses. Could it be that after unifying the Yang realm, they still had to start a war with the outside world? Otherwise, why would they cherish the lives of the evolvers below so much? Chu Feng felt that even a low-level evolver like him could make the connection through some information, so the higher-ups definitely knew more. He reckoned that he had to take it easy. The waters on the battlefield were very deep, and he didn't want to throw himself into it by accident. Don't talk nonsense. You don't want to live anymore, the veteran warned. Don't worry, I'm just grumbling. That's when the older brother opposite me revealed his true nature. I won't pay attention to others. Chu Feng nodded to express his gratitude. The veteran warned him repeatedly. He really didn't want to walk with him anymore because he was obviously a thorn in the side and would definitely be very troublesome in the future. Of course, then again, how many of those who dare to go to the battlefield and come here to fight for their lives were weaklings? If they weren't ruthless people who came to earn the strongest fruit, then they were those who had the ambition to devour the heavens. They wanted to kill people of the same realm as them and make them lower their heads. They wanted to sharpen themselves here and rise between life and death. You're 16 years old now, and you've already reached the golden body level. You're really not simple. You could be considered an extraordinary genius. The veteran sighed. If he knew Chu Feng's true age in the Yang realm and how he had achieved this kind of achievement, he would be even more shocked and incredulous. At this time, Chu Feng had already changed his appearance. He was thin and tall, his eyebrows slanted into his temples, and his face was like a knife. At a glance, one could tell that he was a person with a sharp edge. This was because he wanted to come to the battlefield to fight and rise in true blood and fire. Therefore, his temperament was more domineering and not reserved. 16 years old is a threshold. You can choose pollen and mutant fruits to evolve, or you can choose to continue tempering yourself. There's still more than half a year's time. Once you're close to 17 years old, you can only use catalysts to evolve. Chu Feng nodded. Naturally, he wouldn't tell them his true situation. He didn't come here to simply temper himself and pass the time, but to truly fight an iron-blooded expedition. This was a battlefield, and he could kill his opponents reasonably without worrying about the revenge of any aristocratic families. They were in different camps in the first place. I'm looking forward to it. The child of the humanoid King Mo clan, the young evolver of the Sure clan, and the people of the extreme martial lineage. Don't let me run into you guys. Otherwise, I guarantee that I'll beat you guys into dregs. Chu Feng swore to himself. The veteran sent Chu Feng to a camp. There were all new recruits here, and they were all evolvers of the golden body level. You guys go and tidy up the cave abode in the tent. Not far away, there was a monkey whose entire body was covered in golden light. He wore chainmail and ordered the other new recruits to tidy up the tent in a bossy manner. There was another universe inside his tent, and it formed a small world of its own. It was a small cave abode, and it was very comfortable to stay in. There was no doubt that he was very powerful in this area. The others lowered their heads and hurriedly obeyed his orders to go over to help. Is there no one who cares? Can we bully new recruits as we please here? Chu Feng asked in a low voice. The veteran shook his head and said, on the battlefield, strength is everything. Especially evolvers of the same realm. It's common for them to compete and fight with each other. This is very normal. Chu Feng was astonished and said, his hearing isn't bad. Could it be that he heard us? He actually cast an ice-cold gaze in our direction. The veteran's face immediately turned green. That was because after he took a closer look, he realized that the lion-faced man and the crane race's evolvers were all from powerful races, but they were being dominated by that monkey. He immediately guessed the monkey's identity. Why does this guy have so many ears? No wonder his hearing is so shocking. When he said this, Chu Feng was also stunned. He immediately thought of the other party's origins. This tyrannical monkey was definitely from the six-eared macaque race. You come here. The powerful golden monkey stood there with a wolf fawn club in his hand. He pointed at Chu Feng and asked him to come over. What for? Chu Feng was not afraid of him and asked calmly. From today onwards, you will help me raise my mount, the six-eared macaque said. His eyes were golden, and his 6 ears were shining brilliantly. Wasn't this a coachman? Chu Feng glared. He did not come to the battlefield to be bullied. It was precisely because he could fight at will that he rushed here. Why? Chu Feng looked at him. Because of my wolf fawn club. As the six-eared macaque spoke, the club in his hand expanded and was already in front of Chu Feng. With a bang, Chu Feng was not afraid at all. His fingers glowed, and he was not afraid of the wolf fawn spikes piercing through his palm. He directly grabbed the club and grabbed it. Everyone present was stunned. The golden monkey was also stunned. He had not used any strength just now, and he had not expected anyone to dare to take his club. That was why he had been so easily taken. Boom! Then, the crowd watched as the skinny young man swung his club at the monkey's head. Chapter 1182. Mi Tian, the sturdy golden six-eared macaque, shot a golden light from his eyes, his 6 ears trembling as he flew into a rage out of humiliation. His weapon had actually been snatched away. Although he had been careless just now and did not use any strength, such a mistake still made him feel like he had lost face for the six-eared clan. They were innate demons born from the primal chaos with noble bloodlines and heaven-defying strength. In particular, what was the guy opposite him doing? How audacious, swinging his mace at Tion's head again. This guy's temper was even worse than his own. Really overbearing, even fiercer than my six-eared macaque clan. Tion naturally wanted to teach this person a lesson. Where did this savage come from? Did he not recognize the six-eared macaque clan? He probably just came out of the old forest. Tion pondered. As such, Tion's body burst with golden light as he grabbed towards the mace, preparing to snatch it back, restore his face, and teach this person a lesson. He would take back his weapon the way he had thrown it. He wanted to see who was fiercer and more domineering. However, this time, Chu Feng did not look down on his opponent like he did. Instead, he swung his mace with all his strength and used all his strength to smash it down on Tion. Asterisk dang. Asterisk at that moment. Everyone saw Tion's palm tremble violently in front of the big mace, his monkey fur fluttering and sparks flying everywhere. It's really tough, Chu Feng whispered. This was a fact. What kind of energy did he use? And this big mace was no ordinary item. It was incredibly powerful, and if it were any other creature, they would have already been turned into minced meat. However, the six-eared macaque, Tion, had innate blood flowing in his body. The six-eared macaque clan had been born before the heavens were split open, so his physique was extremely tyrannical. Of course, Tion himself was not feeling well either. His arms were trembling slightly, and his fingers were in unbearable pain. Blood had even appeared on the webbing between his thumb and forefinger. "Monkey, eat this old chow's mace again," Chu Feng shouted. He really wanted to yell mischievously, "Eat this old son's mace again," but remembering that he had already written his surname Chow when registering at the camp gate, he had no choice. Tion was infuriated. He usually shouted to his enemies, "Eat this old me's mace," but today his lines had been stolen, and his mace had been used to smash him. "Give it to me," Tion roared, his eyes blazing like the crater of a volcano. His aura surged, golden light erupted from his entire body, and all of his monkey hairs stood on end. Light flames burned the void, making him look like a fiend god. He once again tried to snatch the mace. In the end, he still somewhat underestimated Chu Feng. He didn't think that a savage who had just walked out of the old forest could be on equal footing with him. Even if Chu Feng was very strong, a heaven-bestowed character who was difficult to deal with, he would still be able to take him down. It was mainly a matter of face. Since the stick had been snatched away like this, he had to take it back in the same way. Otherwise, if word of this got out, how embarrassing would it be? "I'll fight," Chu Feng roared and swung his big stick. "Who cares if you're from the Six Ears clan or the chaotic divine demon realm? I didn't come to this military camp to be bullied. I'll beat you first." Dang, dang, dang. For a time, sparks flew in front of him, and Tion's arms trembled as he was beaten up and down, his body bursting with golden light. He wanted to curse. This damn savage. Why is his temper even worse than mine? Couldn't they just stop and make peace? It really hurts. "Eat this old chow's stick again," Chu Feng roared. Like a bolt of lightning, his body turned into a streak of light as he chased after the six ears macaque with his big stick. Tion was suffering in silence. Today, he had encountered a ruthless opponent who was too strong. He wanted to save his face and forcefully take back his weapon, but now he was riding a tiger, unable to back down. For a time, the sound of metal being struck rang out incessantly, sparks flying everywhere. Nearby, everyone was dumbfounded and petrified, dumbfounded. That was the Six Ears macaque, an innate race born from the primal chaos. The demon god blood in their bodies was terrifying. There were only a few members of this race left, but once they were born, they would definitely be a top character in the same realm. Otherwise, would they really think that they were good-tempered and easy to bully? Would they obey just because they were asked to tidy up the tent? If it had been anyone else, they would have already started fighting to the death. But now, a savage had come, carrying a big stick and smashing monkeys all over the camp, chasing after him. This scene was really shocking. Another living ancestor. This was the consensus of everyone. Many of them came from powerful races and were used to being domineering, but when they saw me Tion, they were all very obedient. But today, a fierce person had come to sweep the field. It was estimated that there would be one more overlord in this camp. Another freak among the golden body level evolvers. Someone whispered. In the eyes of these people, in this camp, there were a few devil incarnate in the golden body domain, and now there was a competitor. Someone wanted to challenge them. At this time, Tion was furious. He could see that this savage had seen through the stubbornness in his heart and knew that he wanted to save face. So he was deliberately bullying him. This savage was beating him with a clear conscience, using the most domineering power to smash him. Savage, you're courting death. Tion roared, his eyes flashing with golden light as all the monkey hair on his body stood on end. Annoyed, he raised his speed to the limit to avoid this big stick phantom. In just a moment, his hands were bleeding from the hits and his arms were almost numb. If this continued, he might be beaten to the point of vomiting blood and being defeated by this person. Even if he had a bad temper, was arrogant, and had always been conceited, it did not mean that he would be stubborn to the end and let others smash him with a big stick. The six-eared macaque dodged. His movements were too fast like lightning. He no longer acted like a barbarian, no longer fighting head-on. Instead, he used his divine abilities and secret techniques. For a moment, he had 3 heads and 6 arms, and other weapons appeared in his hands as he attacked Chufeng. Monkey, after having 1 head smashed, you've manifested 3 more. You want me to beat you to my heart's content? Are you addicted to it? Chufeng yelled. Tion was infuriated. He had wanted to take down this person by force earlier and did not use any other means, but as a result, this savage had taken advantage of him. Now, he still dared to act obedient. He was going too far. Asterisk dang dang dang. Asterisk this area was filled with golden light as the big stick and spear danced wildly, the sound of collisions ringing out endlessly as the two fought fiercely. The two fought from one place to another, rushing up a short mountain, into a river, and then into a cave. It was extremely tragic. This camp was covered in all kinds of terrains, and their footprints were left everywhere. The crowd was dumbfounded. Asterisk bang. Asterisk on the top of the mountain. They collapsed the peak of the mountain. Asterisk rumble. Asterisk in the end, they directly sank, piercing through the ground and entering the depths of the earth. They fought fiercely, and outsiders could not see them. Do you want to find someone to stop the fight? Don't kill someone. Where are the other demon kings? Why aren't they coming out to help me, Tion? People were discussing. This camp was filled with golden arhats, and all of them were watching the show with fiery eyes, waiting for the result. Deep underground, no one dared to come in to watch the battle. At this time, Chufeng and Tion had both thrown away their weapons and were entangled in a physical fight. This time, Six-Ear Macaque was really shocked. This guy's physique was also quite sturdy, and he was not afraid of fighting him head-on, causing him to grit his teeth in pain. He was well aware of his clan's situation. Before entering the battlefield, his clan's old ancestor had used some of his clan's ancestral blood and mixed it with the good fortune substance to help him baptize his body and spirit, making it impossible for his divine sword to stab him and his artifact to injure him. It was as if his body had been refined into a spirit treasure. He estimated that no one should be able to suppress him in a physical fight. So how did he end up encountering such a monster so soon after arriving? In fact, Chufeng was also very surprised. He had just arrived on the 3-way battlefield, and he had already encountered a fierce opponent who was so difficult to deal with. He had wanted to suppress the other party in a few moves. If Tion knew what he was thinking, he would definitely spit out a mouthful of blood. He was already aggrieved enough, yet this opponent still dared to be so delusional? Fuck, I should be number 1 among my peers. At the very least, I dare to challenge anyone in the golden body domain, but this savage is too hateful. He's like a stone in a latrine, smelly and hard. I can't even touch him. The two fought fiercely underground, and in the end, their fists connected with flesh, causing blood to flow out and wounds to appear all over their bodies. Stop! I'm not fighting anymore. Stop! Six-eared macaque yelled. He felt like he was suffocating. Someone was sitting on top of him and giving him a black eye. How could this bastard fight better than him? His fists were like iron hammers, not just hitting anywhere else but his face. How could Chu Feng give up? This monkey was too difficult to deal with. He had finally managed to pin him to the ground and ride him. So if he let him go so easily, he would be letting him off too easily. Asterisk pung. Asterisk another punch landed, causing Mi Tian's eyes to turn black and blood to spurt from his nose. He really couldn't stand it any longer and roared, "You savage! Why is your temper so bad? Can't you be reasonable?" If others heard Six-Eared Macaque say he wanted to be reasonable, their jaws would probably fall to the ground in shock. Didn't you never talk reason and only talk with your fists? Now Mi Tian's tone softened. This young master has a bad temper. You hit me with your stick first, so I'll fight back. Chu Feng said, swinging his fists and riding on top of him. Mi Tian was annoyed and angry, so he seized the opportunity to punch Chu Feng in the chin, wanting to turn the tables and ride him. Now, the two of them were glowing as they pushed their divine abilities to the limit, but as a result, they canceled each other out like two barbarians fighting. In the end, Mi Tian couldn't stand it anymore. If he continued to fight, even if he went all out, it would be too shameful for him to lose both of them. Stop! My face is swollen like a pig's head. How am I supposed to go out and meet people later? He shouted. No, you provoke me first. I don't want to be mistreated. Let's fight again. Chu Feng said, his tone not softening at all. Mi Tian gritted his teeth and said, What do you mean mistreated? You were the one who hit me with your stick, okay? Now, you're the one who's beaten me black and blue. Stop, we could talk things out. No, I haven't vented my anger yet, Chu Feng said, still unwilling to give up. This monkey was too powerful, actually pressing him to the ground and punching him several times. Of course, he had also pressed the monkey to the ground 8 times. Fuck, stop right now. I'm a monkey king. If you keep hitting me like this, how am I supposed to meet my sworn brothers? I don't care. It's none of my business. I'll keep hitting you. Six-Eared Macaque was furious and shouted, Stop, stop first. I'll give you a great opportunity. Really? Is there really a great opportunity for me to take from beating you? In an instant, Chu Feng stopped. Mi Tian gritted his teeth, wanting to stomp his feet in anger. Damn this savage. He felt that this savage looked like he had just walked out of an old forest, but he was so unscrupulous that he immediately stopped after saying he would give him a good opportunity. Really? Mi Tian nodded. Chu Feng said, Then swear on your soul light blood curse. You're ruthless. Mi Tian gritted his teeth in anger, but when he thought about what he and his brothers were planning, he felt that it would be best to bring in a strong ally. It was just that this savage's bad temper was too hateful. In the end, they stopped and came to the surface together. Everyone was very confused and dazzled because these two had just been fighting to the death, but now they had appeared with their arms around each other's shoulders. Now, they were talking and laughing, almost as if they were one person. The monkey had not told Chu Feng what great opportunity there was, but he hinted that all the evolvers on the battlefield and the powerhouses of all races were thinking about it. Otherwise, no matter how good this place was for training, it would not be so attractive that some heavenly venerable's closed-door disciples would quietly come out and come down the mountain. Chu Feng's emotions fluctuated. He wondered if he would see some old friends arrive because of this opportunity, such as Lady Shi. This race was extremely famous in the Yang realm, known as the 6th strongest race. If there was a great benefit this time, would this race come to divide the benefits and see her? In addition, could others also meet here? At present, he had just arrived and already met Qing Yin. What kind of great opportunity? Chu Feng asked. Let me remind you, do you know why this summer province is famous? It's one of the most central areas of the Yang realm. Do you know what's here? Upon hearing this, Chu Feng thought about it. In his eyes, the Summer Province was most famous for being the world's #1 mountain. Currently, number 9 was lying dormant there, guarding an unknown area at the foot of the mountain. Tion glanced at him and said, "There's the world's #1 mountain here, but all that's left of it is the mountain's root. It's only a few dozen feet tall, almost level with the ground. What about the real mountain? Think about it carefully. The more you think about it, the more terrifying it is." At this point, he did not say anything more. Then, he seemed to have thought of something and asked, "Right, what's your name? We've been fighting for so long, but I still don't know your name." Chu Feng didn't even think before he answered. "You also have a da in your name?" Tion glanced at him and was actually grinding his teeth. His big brother, Chi Hong, had met a troublemaker called Dade in the Wasteland Arena, and he was still simmering with anger. Now, he met a Chao who beat him up. It was really an ominous name. Then, he thought of the Six Ears clan's ancestors' last words before he died. Towards Fatso Da, he really couldn't forget it, and his resentment was monstrous. When he thought of this, Tion was extremely angry and said, "None of those with the in their names are good." Upon hearing this, Chu Feng's face darkened. Chapter 1183. Seeing Chu Feng's black face, Tion did not realize anything and continued to shout, "All those with virtuous names deserve to be struck by lightning." Chu Feng said expressionlessly, "Let the heavens try striking me. If they dare, I'll pierce through them directly." Asterisk Kong. Asterisk high up in the sky, thunder roared as the two dark clouds collided, erupting with dazzling light and raging lightning. Chu Feng immediately shut up. "Did you see that? Even the heavens have been cheated by you virtuous people. Those with virtuous names never have a good end." The six-eared macaque shouted. Chu Feng said, "Shut up, it's just a coincidence. It's raining and thundering. Hurry up and put away your clothes." "Good, forget it. Although this name is ominous, let's just forget about it and find a place to discuss how to cooperate," Tion said. In fact, he was naturally unhappy. He had been inexplicably chased down by this savage with a big stick and beaten up so badly that he was still coughing up blood from his throat. The reason why he compromised so quickly was because the good fortune he mentioned earlier was too important and needed to find a partner. At present, he and his sworn brothers could not handle it. "Come, let's go into my tent and have a secret discussion in my secluded home," Tion said. He did not want to be stared at, and even though he used a secret technique to conceal his injuries and no longer had a swollen face, his mouth still hurt and his nose felt sore when he opened his mouth. Nearby, many people stopped and stared at them in surprise. These two had been fighting to the death not long ago, but now they were the same person. Everyone showed a look of shock. Another demon king had arrived, a ruthless one at that. Tion held Chu Feng's hand. Although he had cursed those with virtuous names earlier, he was now trying to win them over, so it was obvious he needed help. Chu Feng said, "Let go. You're a violent male ape. How can you hold my hand? You're not some fairy from the heavens. I don't have any special hobbies." When the six-eared macaque heard that, all 6 of its ears twitched. It really wanted to explode and smash the man's head open. With its wild and unruly personality, it was rare for it to show respect to the wise, but now it was being looked down upon. "Do you know that I've always been a person who only talks about fists and not reason? I've tolerated you for a long time today." He indeed had a fiery temper, but he suppressed his voice and didn't turn hostile. In the end, he even endured it silently. Chu Feng was surprised and became even more certain that Tion's plan could not be ignored. It seemed he really needed to join. "Tell me what's going on?" he asked directly. The higher-ups obtained a great opportunity. In the initial plan, only the most outstanding among the divine monarchs were allowed to go. Later on, someone suggested that the divine realm experts could also share it. In the end, everyone learned of this and stepped forward to compete. After various compromises and so on, the conditions were relaxed to the Saint tier. In the end, It seemed like they were stuck at the quasi-saint tier. Meteon was unwilling. He was currently in the golden body domain, so he was quite annoyed. He knew what this great opportunity meant and could not miss it. You obtained it on the battlefield? Chu Feng asked. The monkey nodded and silently pointed in the direction of the world's most famous mountain. Then have your family come forward and send an old monkey to smash those who oppose it with a stick. Won't that solve everything? What's the use of looking for me? Chu Feng said. Meteon bared his teeth. This savage's words were really unpleasant to hear. How many people dared to call the leader of their family an old monkey? They would probably be slapped to death. This guy dared to say anything. And he even beat him up? Meteon said, do you think our six-ear macaw clan is really invincible and can fight against all the other families? That plan was the result of a compromise between all parties. Many families participated in the negotiations, and our family also has vested interests. My big brother, Chi Hong, is on the list and is one of the best among the divine monarchs. Even if the clansmen want to support me, they can't be too obviously biased. I have to rely on myself. Then what do you want to do? Chu Feng asked. Of course, we will take action immediately and create the conditions. Then, we will let the family speak for us. This monkey was very conceited and ambitious. He insisted on sharing the opportunity of high-level evolvers. Recently, he had been contacting the most powerful people in the golden body domain. He wanted to take action together and beat up 2 or 3 of the quasi-saints on the list until they were half dead. The rest would be left to the old guys in the clan. Chu Feng was speechless. This monkey was really confident and overbearing. If he really beat up 2 or 3 quasi-saints on the list, he might really be able to do it. What else did the other parties have to say? If they still didn't agree, then the secondary saint who had been beaten up might as well be kicked out of the name list. The families behind those few quasi-saints who are about to be beaten are also the main force that opposes our joining. If we really succeed in stopping them, let's see if they still have the face to share that great opportunity. Are you sure that you, an evolver in the golden body domain, can overturn the ruthless quasi-saints? Chu Feng asked. He knew very well that those who could be on that list were definitely the cream of the crop in the quasi-saints domain. Their strength was bound to be extremely frightening among those in the same realm. That's why I found you. People like you and I could be considered ruthless among the ruthless. As long as we find 4 or 5 of them, we can definitely overturn them. Moreover, it's not limited to a head-on battle. We can also ambush them halfway. A cold light flashed in the monkey's eyes. Where's your moral integrity? Can a sneak attack be considered a success? Chu Feng asked him. Meteon said, of course. They're a realm higher than us, yet we still knock them down and beat them half dead. When the time comes, who would have a nerve to take it seriously? The old guys behind them will also have to shut up. As they spoke, they arrived in front of Meteon's tent. Of course, some of the important things they talked about on the way were secretly transmitted. Some news couldn't be leaked now. This tent was very large. After entering, it was incomparably spacious and resplendent, like a palace. Especially in the depths, there were spirit orchards, flower gardens, pavilions, and so on. Come, let's go into the depths of the cave mansion to have a secret discussion, the monkey suggested. No, what if we enter your territory and fall into your trap? It's in the big tent. Chu Feng refused. Meteon flew into a rage out of humiliation and said, am I that kind of person? You're too nervous. In fact, he really wanted to use the terrain to beat up this savage first. The matter of joining forces could be postponed. Unfortunately, this Chow didn't give him a chance. Chu Feng said, tell me the specifics. Do you know the complicated origins of this battlefield? Meteon asked. I'm not sure, Chu Feng replied. Back then, this was the 4th forbidden area in the world. Once a decree was issued, no one in the world dared to disobey. Its power was so great that it suppressed all races. Chu Feng sucked in a breath of cold air. This battlefield used to be a forbidden area. He knew that there were a total of 20 or so forbidden areas in the Yang realm, but he didn't know the exact ranking. At that time, the various races were also forced into a corner. An ultimate powerhouse appeared and led everyone to this place. At that time, not to mention talismans that could help people bring their memories into the cycle of reincarnation, even more powerful items were brought out. Of course, the Allied forces in that battle were even more miserable. They were almost completely annihilated, and the ground was covered in blood and crushed bones. For the Yang realm, it was a catastrophe. All the races were almost wiped out. It was really a moment of life and death for all the powerful races in the Yang realm. What's more hateful is that some powerful races just stood by and did not participate. Misty was resentful. Obviously, the six-eared macaque monkey clan must have taken action, otherwise he wouldn't have such an attitude. They didn't even think about it. If they really didn't make a move and just watch from the sidelines until the end, would the remaining powerhouses in the Yang realm be able to straighten their backs if the fourth forbidden land emerged victorious in the end after that battle? That battle was very smooth at first. After all, even the talismans were produced, as well as other good fortunes. However, when the leader of the fourth forbidden area revived, the situation was reversed, and all the ultimate masters of the Allied forces were killed. At the end of the battle, for some reason, the world's first mountain was also involved. In the end, the world's first mountain was destroyed, smashed into the fourth forbidden area, and shattered into pieces. There wasn't much to say, but the information was so shocking that it stunned Chu Feng. The things that happened here made one's imagination run wild. In prehistoric times, there were only 2 or 3 creatures who knew about this, including my clan's old ancestor, because my clan's innate divine abilities were unparalleled. He pointed to his ears and warned Chu Feng not to speak ill of him behind his back, or else he would hear it clearly and seek him out to settle accounts. Chu Feng was speechless. The six-eared macaque's ears were simply invincible. Damn, no wonder they say that the law must not be past the 6 ears. It really makes sense. What are you talking about? Misty glared. According to Misty, the world's first mountain had been broken for more than 100,000 years, and no one in the outside world knew about it, because all they could see was the mountain still standing. Only the six-eared clan knew that it was fake. It wasn't until 200,000 or 300,000 years later that the mountain suddenly disappeared, leaving only its foundation behind. No one knew why the world's first mountain had been broken. The entire prehistoric era was shrouded in mystery. It was not until ancient times that the truth was revealed. Before that, the six-eared clan was afraid to die, afraid they would be silenced. No matter how they looked at it, they who knew the secret back then felt very uneasy. Fortunately, after ancient times, the other clans also learned of this secret, allowing them to breathe a sigh of relief. No wonder old Gu didn't know. Chu Feng muttered to himself. This was a secret that had only been revealed since ancient times. Then, Mition's eyes became fiery as he said, "Just think about it. The world's first mountain and the world's fourth forbidden area were both broken here, turning into dozens or hundreds of small mystic worlds. How many great opportunities would there be? In the past, the world's first mountain had countless great medicines and was also rich in mother gold. As for the world's fourth forbidden area, it had talismans that could allow one to reincarnate with their memories, as well as various heavenly medicines, secret techniques, scriptures, and so on. There were simply too many opportunities. Since ancient times, after the truth was revealed, it wasn't that no one rushed to explore it. Some people found the mystic worlds with great difficulty, but in the end, 99% died. Only a few people managed to gain something and narrowly escaped with their lives. Now, the three-way battlefield had been chosen here not for no reason, because when the 3 sides fought, they would use this place as a blood sacrifice to open the mystic worlds and find the various opportunities of the past. Thinking about it carefully, the world's first mountain and fourth forbidden area had too many benefits. At the same time, he was secretly amazed. Was the world's first mountain really so powerful? It was worthy of being the mysterious force that cultivated Li Su. Mition said, No one expected that there was a powerful master living on the world's first mountain in the past. No one knows why they suddenly took action. Of course, after that battle, there were also historical mysteries. In the end, it was unknown whether the world's first mountain and the fourth forbidden area had both suffered great losses and perished, or if they had both gone dormant. After Chu Feng learned about these past events and secrets, he couldn't help sighing with emotion. What was the opportunity this time? Chu Feng asked him. When our camp was fighting on the three-way battlefield, we accidentally opened a small mystic world and found a Tao-fusing grass. Forget about them. Even heavenly venerables were envious of this thing. If it weren't for a powerful master suppressing it, allowing the God King Grey Juniors with infinite potential to comprehend the Tao first, it would have been snatched away by an heavenly venerate long ago. Is this thing very heaven-defying? Chu Feng asked. Of course. Monkey nodded solemnly. Then he patted Chu Feng on the shoulder and said, so we must participate this time and fight for an opportunity for ourselves. We can only succeed. We cannot fail. Chu Feng's expression changed again and again as he said, your background is so strong. If you really succeed, it will be an opportunity, but I don't have any backing. So what if I work for nothing? This was not impossible, as the number of spots was too scarce, and any name on that list was the result of competition between various clans. Don't worry. Once we succeed, with our achievements for all to see, no one will dare act shamelessly. Mi Tian patted him on the shoulder. Then, in order to reassure Chu Feng, Mi Tian grit his teeth and said, if you have any concerns, I'll give you a chance. My younger sister is an outstanding beauty. I think you're not bad, so you should work hard. If we brothers can become even closer in the future, it will be a wonderful story. Chu Feng's expression immediately changed. He was so frightened that he almost fell off his chair and sat on the ground. He really wanted to say, forget it, with your big mouth, scratching your cheeks, squatting on a chair while talking to me. You still have the nerve to introduce your sister to me. Their appearances are probably similar, so I politely decline. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.